my internet starts to chug, I'm back on my computer. I might just be like switching back and forth between my phone. My phone is just like starting to overheat, so I'm gonna do
Oh,
this
okay.
until I can't do it anymore, and then just keep cycling.
No problem. You seem to be coming through pretty stable at the moment.
Hey,
Are you
all.
fine?
Fingers crossed.
We are now live on
Yay.
New York Comic Con as well as a few of our other ReedPop pages.
Love
And
it.
Wonderful.
I think we're good to go.
Cool. So again, apologies if you've already seen me apologise before about the technical issues that we've had. It's been a little bit tricky trying to get the stream out to both Twitch and Facebook. So we've had to cancel the Facebook stream, and we're going through exclusively. We're cancelling Twitch stream and going exclusively through Facebook. Sorry. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Tim. I'm the senior designer at MCM Comic Con, and today we're going to be playing a one-shot session using the D&D 5e rules. I'll go around and introduce the lovely people we have here today. We'll start off with Rob. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Yeah, cool. So, my name is Robbie. I am one of the two graphic designers at Comic Con Africa and also Comic Con Cape Town. I should probably also mention that. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Don't really know what to say.
Yeah, Ree, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Ree. I'm a part of the Emerald City Comic Con and Keystone Comic Con marketing team, but I will be representing Emerald City Comic Con.
Lovely. Sean, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey there, my name's Sean. I'm the marketing manager for Florida Supercon in Miami.
Groovy. Chris, over to you.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris. I am the content coordinator for New York.
Ellie.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I run the social media channels for MCM in the UK.
And finally over to Kylie.
Hi, I'm Kylie. I do marketing for New York and for C2E2, but today I will be representing C2E2.
Groovy. Now, as you might have guessed, it's one representative from each of the Comic Cons around the world. The idea here is that we'll be developing characters that are based on the personalities of each one of those shows. So each one of the 6 characters here today will be a representation of those Comic Cons. We'll be playing, as I said before, Dungeons & Dragons 5e. It'll be a custom campaign, one-shot, which will be lasting anywhere between 2 and 3 hours, depending on how the narrative wraps up. We'll be starting in media res with regards to what the characters will be doing. So, without further ado, as we're a little bit behind schedule, I'll pass it over to each one of our lovely players to describe the characters that are created, a little bit about their personality and how they represent each one of the Comic Cons. So, Robbie, what's the name of your character? Who are they, and how does it represent the Comic Con?
Okay, so with my character, I did more of the liberties came in with the naming of the character. So my character's name is Cecilia von Gallagher. So I chose Cecilia because it's got CCA in the name. So
Nice.
when you spell her name, you cap the C, and the A. The Von Gallagher came in when I was searching for last names. It came up, and ironically, it is the name of the venue we use for Comic Con Africa,
Oh,
Gallagher
perfect.
Estate.
Nice.
So I was like, yes, perfection.
Very on brand. So what is the what class are you going to be playing and what race?
So I'm going to be doing half elf cleric. And for background, I chose Knight of the Order. So basically, I have an order of knights that I am a part of that is bound to like a certain deity.
Groovy. Ree, so similar question to you. Like, how does your character represent Emerald City Comic Con? What are their names? What is the class and the race?
So, I picked my name before I picked my class, so this was not intentional. But my name is Drew Verdant. I am a neutral male Fearbulk, and I'm a druid, so I'm Drew the Druid. The Verdant is trying to be more like green, because I thought Emerald was a little too on the nose, but like Verde, like greenish. But also the background I've picked is the Circle of the Mountain for druids because of our beloved Mount Rainier. So that is the benefit there.
Excellent. And we'll pass it over to Sean. How does your character represent the Comic-Con that you'll be representing today? Their name, their class, their race.
Right, so I am playing a human barbarian. His name is Papo Rayo. Papo is it's just a nickname he's picked up over the years. Rayo is a family name, which also happens to mean bolt, which, if you're familiar with the Supercon lightning bolt, well, there you go. He grew up on some beaches where he would spend his time fishing and collecting seashells, and he had amassed a pretty sizable seashell collection until a mysterious vagabond stole them, and so he set off to find his seashell collection. And yeah, that's Papo.
Yeah, it's definitely a worthy motivation for anybody
Absolutely.
to be getting out into the world. Over to Chris.
Hey, so I am playing an Aarakocra. His name is Sal. Salvatore Lightwing. In true New York City fashion, he is a pigeon, not an eagle. And he is a monk. His monk school is the way of the four elements, because as anyone who lives in New York City knows, we have all four seasons and they all suck. So he is a master of all the.
Amazing, love it. Ellie, over to you.
Yeah, so my name is Magdalene Crothers Misbo, which, can be shortened to MCM, can be shortened to Meg, probably a bit nicer. I'm an air genasi rogue, so the idea behind that is that I'm kind of never in the same place at once. You can kind of pin me down. I grew up in the circus, so I'm used to just traveling around and just trying to entertain people wherever I go.
Amazing. Kylie, on to you.
So my character's name is Windy, named after the city, of course. We are a bugbear bard. We are a bugbear. Kind of shows some representation to our sports teams. We got the Cubs, we got the Bears. We could throw some socks on him. Fine. And we are a bard because if any of you follow C2E2, we are a little bit obsessed with Witcher. It might just be me, but it's C2E2 as well. And so we like city-type areas so we can go and we can play and we can entertain. And Wendy's super excited to go on this adventure.
Amazing, love it. Yeah, I love all the characters. I'm excited to see how they all perform and gel together in today's session. So I'm going to read a little bit of backstory here for and set the scene. So bear with me 1 second while I just swap my screens around. There we go. So our story starts in an unremarkable town on an unremarkable part of the coast. We are here because the carnival is in town. Each one of our 6 players plays a particular role in the circus. Sal is the ringmaster, and so we've got Robbie, or CC. They perform all the security tasks. Ree's character Drew mans the funnel cake stand. Ellie's character Meg is one of the talent. She's an illusionist. Sean's character Papo works the myriad of rides that we have here, and Kylie is also one of the talent. She's an acrobat and lute player. This is the final night of a 3-night run in the town. The carnival itself usually doesn't stick around for too long. Once they've got eked out as much money as possible in each place they go to, they generally pack up and disappear into the night. So, passing over to you guys, who wants to describe what they're currently doing halfway through the last night's performance? Where is everybody and what are they doing?
I will start. So since we're halfway through the evening's festivities, I'd like to say that I'm probably, at what makeshift office I am at that travels with me, whether it be the back of a van or the back of a carriage, excuse me. And I'm just kind of like counting out the day's earnings, getting ready to pack everything up for our trek out of here.
Wonderful. So you're sort of counting the coins, making sure that everybody's performances that have already ended. They're all helping pack up the bits and pieces that they can, ready to make your getaway, as it were.
Yep.
So we've got two particular performances left of the evening. One of them is Windy, and one of them is Meg. Who's going to be the first up to do their performance? Would it be the acrobat or the illusionist?
I can go.
Sure. So, Meg, I believe that she is an expert with knives, but also a magic user. Now, what is, just in very brief terms, what is the performance they're going to be putting on tonight?
So the thing with Meg is that she thinks she's this like amazing illusionist, but she's actually kind of terrible at it. But because she grew up in the circus, everyone's just like, just let her get on with it. She can, get her way through. So I'm normally left to just like entertain the kids because they're quite easy to fool. So I just do like basic magic, like creating minor illusions and using my mage hand to like move things about. So yeah, I think I'm just outside or inside trying to entertain the kids, but at the same time, I use my sleight of hand just to kind of, rob a few people here and there, trip a few people up a couple of times. Like I'm just kind of going with the flow.
Quite mischievous. Now, are you operating under like the direct orders of Sal, or the stuff that you're pocketing? Do you keep that for yourself, or does it get shared out amongst the rest of the carnival?
I'm not sure. I think.
Or is it a bit 50-50?
Yeah, I'm kind of just doing it off my own bat, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows that I do it.
Yeah, all right. We just turn a bit of a blind eye.
Yeah.
Like plausible deniability if you ever get caught. So I believe, as it's the third and final night, you have a very specific performance that you'll put on after your usual sort of like mage hand, illusion, pickpocket scenario, which is the rotating knife board.
Yep.
Oh, no.
So.
People only let me do this a few times, and it's always gone wrong. So,
well, we'll see if tonight's any different. So, as the lights go down and a hush comes over the 100 or so people sitting on the pews in the makeshift big top, there is one lantern light focusing on a big notched wheel, which can be rotated by our good friend Sean, who operates the cog behind it. Now. There is obviously a space for someone to be strapped to said rotating knife board. It's up to you. Would you like to try and garner a volunteer from the crowd, or would you like to try and rope one of your party members into the performance? Obviously, there are benefits and detriments to choosing one or the other. One of which is liability insurance if you end up accidentally knifing one of the fans, but then you're also not drawing the ire of one of your party mates if you end up getting a knife in someone's shoulder.
Yeah, I'm going to look around and see if anybody in the gang wants to volunteer themselves.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes, okay, great. This can't go wrong.
Yeah, without pause. Okay, so Windy steps in. Now, do you want to try and pretend to be a member of the audience and you get randomly picked, or do you want to just walk out with a flourish?
Is this my decision?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
absolutely.
So I think I want to sit in the audience. I don't want people to know I'm part of this. I just want to be like sneaky.
Nice. So over to Meg. You look around in the audience for a pre-established ruse that that Kylie's going to be sitting in Windy's going to be sitting in the pew somewhere, and you catch her eye. Tell me how you perform this random act of choosing.
Okay.
Do people put their hands up, or do you just randomly point at someone? Up to you.
So I kind of walk around, I scour around the group, and I just say, "So volunteers, raise your hand. I want to see who wants to get up here." And as I like to think a lot of people volunteer because they they're all currently amazed by how well I've been doing so far. And then obviously see Windy. And I use my cantrip mage hand, which I'm pretty sure I have as a cantrip.
Sure.
And I just use the mage hand to tap her on the shoulder.
Okay, she has been chosen. Kylie, why don't you roll a performance check to see how well you kind of fake being surprised. Like, oh, I can't believe I've been chosen. This is such a surprise. I've never seen you people before.
I can absolutely do that, but noob here, which die do you need me to?
So usually for this session, we'll be using D20 for the majority of the rolls, unless it comes down to something like your damage.
Oh, yep. All right, I'm rolling.
Perfect.
A 4?
A 4? And if you add it to your performance check for me, please. Which might not be all bad, because you are a bard after all.
Plus 4.
Plus 4, 8. So yes, you kind of overact a little bit too much, pretending to be surprised by this. A few people are giving you the side eye. There's also a couple of people in the audience that have been here in yesterday's show that have seen you perform the acrobatics feats that you do. And I'm like, yeah, that person, their person, they work here for sure. But nonetheless, you still bravely step out into the spotlight and walk over to the turntable, the knife table, where Sean's character, Papo, steps around and starts strapping you in to the rotating knife table. This is something that you've done before. It's you know what to expect. And it goes over back to Meg for her performance. Now, what kind of flourishes would you like to infer?
I like to think that I'm acting all mysterious, so I'm kind of like looking around, causing some like different minor illusions to just kind of like pop up and here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a bracer of flying daggers, which is an armband. Basically, I can pull out 2 daggers each time.
Yes.
And they're basically like limitless magical daggers. So I can just throw them, and then as soon as they hit anything or miss, hopefully, anything, they just disappear.
Okay.
So I'm going to get a few of those and just start twirling them around, and I dropped quite a few.
Okay. So Papo, he starts rotating the knife table behind. Why don't you give me a attack roll, I think, actually, Meg? Give me 2 to start off with. See how accurate your knives are.
Okay, am I using my daggers?
Yes, so you can choose at the moment. You can either use performance or you can use an attack roll, whichever you would prefer.
I'm going to use performance because I am not trying to kill anyone. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 5 plus 7.
5 plus 7? So
Yeah.
12. Yep. So when you're using performance, you want to try and ramp up the danger aspect of the performance. So it sticks next to the left ear of Windy, and you can just hear the dagger vibrating next to your ear as it cuts off a few strands of your bugbear hair or ginger hair. A couple of strands just fall down as you're slowly spinning around. Sean starts ramping up the danger a little bit. Oh, sorry, Papo, and he's rotating you faster and faster now. So the DC has increased slightly.
Okay.
Make your second dagger.
Next one. 5 plus 7 again.
12. So why don't you roll a to hit on that, please?
Okay, to hit is... What dice am I using for that? Hold on.
D20?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not damage.
No.
Ahead of myself. 17.
17. Unfortunately, this one, as unexpectedly the speed starts ramping up, it lands in poor Windy's thigh as she's spinning around, just where you thought it was. Now I need to... Yeah, Windy, why don't you do a Constitution saving throw for me, please? Again, it's a D20. The top left-hand part of your character sheet will have a con save. C-O-N.
Okay, alright, I see it. Let's go. A 16 minus a 1.
15 is good enough that you do not make a sound. You take the damage like a champ. Even though the knife is just embedded in your thigh, but you don't, nothing in your eyes like belies the pain that you're going through.
The show must go on.
Much like a trained ballet artist, the pain is not present. You do, however, take 3 points of damage. You don't bother checking that at the moment. This is tonight's, unless, of course, it ends up too many daggers end up embedding in your body, and you end up passing out. But I think you should be fine. Now, as the dagger hits, because they're magical, part of your bracelet of flying daggers, it disappears once it impacts the thigh. So you kind of get away with actually hitting poor Windy. She doesn't react at all, and it just kind of looks like it went next to her thigh. She's covered in hair anyway, and you carry on. How many more daggers would you like to go? Obviously, the more you do, the higher the DC, but the better the performance will be at the end of the show.
I am fully aware of what I've just done, and I'm just kind of looking at Windy like wide-eyed, like why do they keep letting me do this trick? I don't know how to do it. So I'm going to do one more set to kind of finish it off, and then I'm going to just start doing other things to entertain the crowd.
No problem.
Okay.
So another performance check.
Okay, this time it's 12 plus 7.
Oh, perfect, yes. This one again goes just underneath, between the torso and the arm as you're being strapped out. It doesn't hit anywhere near the torso. It's a perfect strike. And again, Papo increases the speed. Their blood starts going to the head of Windy.
I love how Papo just isn't flinching.
Well, he's nicely
yeah.
He's actually behind the turntable. So it's using as a sort of cover of defense at the moment.
But I can hear the thunks.
Oh, yes. And that last one, in fact, you can kind of see part of the knife come through the straw, not too far away from your head, but then it just disappears. And your fourth and final.
2 plus 7.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you roll another to hit, please? You might be okay.
8.
8. There. Again, this time it... so, Windy, you are... Sorry. You're a bard, so you are wearing armor. So this one actually sticks in the center of your torso, but embeds itself in the leather armor that you're wearing. You don't take any damage, but it just hits right in the dead center. You just feel a very slight piercing feel, but you don't suffer any damage at all. And then
the crowd goes wild.
The crowd indeed does go wild. So you had 2 passes and 2 fails. So why don't you roll a combined performance check? So that means you can help one another. So choose one of you two, either Meg and Windy, to do a performance check, and you'll be assisting the other.
What's your modifier for your performance?
I think it's plus 4. How about yours?
Mine's plus 7. So.
Oh, you go.
Okay.
Okay.
So you get the help action from Windy, from her stoic features and the fact that she's taken two daggers like a champ. So why don't you roll with advantage?
Okay. So that's 8 plus 7.
15.
That's 7 plus 7.
So 15 is just enough to get you a standing ovation.
Yes.
From the majority of people here.
And immediately I'm like, I'm going to do this again tomorrow night.
Wow, love this for us.
Indeed. So Papo slows down the rotating knife board, unstraps you, and you are free to go about your business. Sal, you hear a standing ovation and a cheer coming from the big top. So you know that this was another successful performance. You're happy because that garners you more tips on the way out from people usually, which will line your coffer.
We like that.
Indeed.
The boss is pleased.
So with those 3 people, so we've got the funnel cake stand, security, and the next show. Who wants to go next?
Well, I feel like Robbie can go.
I was suggesting you, but all right.
Oh. Then, I will go. I feel like if everyone is hyped up after seeing the show, they're probably going to want, a snack.
Absolutely. There's another sort of 30 minutes between the next performance, where people will come out, use the facilities, grab something to eat, and then they'll go back inside. So tell me a little bit about the stand that you're working on at the moment. What do they serve? Who makes it? That kind of stuff.
So I make it. It's my own recipe. I use herbs, and so I've got a little bit of a different spin. It's like rose funnel cakes, and there's some savory ones, maybe a little bit of thyme and rosemary in them.
Nice.
There's also beignets, which Ellie's character Meg uses to for knife practice, and she like throws them up in the air and just slices them in two, and it should be fun.
Imagine that also helps with your cooking.
Yes.
Yeah. Groovy. So yeah, you get quite a large line of people as soon as the performance is over at the funnel cake stand. Can you roll a perception check for me, please?
I can. My perception might not be very good. That's not bad. 12.
12. So you see that a couple of the kids that were being entertained by the illusion earlier in the day by Meg have kind of cut the line slightly, and you see two pairs of hands reaching over the top of the counter to try and grab one of the funnel cakes without paying.
Can I grab one of my? Let's say I think I have some small munchkins that I can just toss over in hopes that they'll bop them on the head and surprise them.
Sure. Why don't you roll a to hit? So roll your d20 and just add it to your either strength modifier or dexterity modifier.
Strength or dex? Oh, okay, so that's a 14.
14, yeah. You successfully throw these little munchkins and it just bops both of them in the head. You hear the two young children kind of squeal in pain, rubbing their temples, and they dart off.
I didn't realize I was going to hurt them with these small pieces of dough.
Well, they may have indeed hardened over the course of this evening, and it is your third show, and they've solidified into that consistency of a pebble. You threw it with threw a little bit of gusto as well, enough to like frighten them off into the crowd.
Oh, shame. Poor kids.
So I think when you're operating the stand, obviously there's a bit of performance involved in that as well, like trying to sell your wares. How do you try and get people to buy these funnel cakes? Plus,
I definitely am using a sort of. I'm trying to think if there's any cantrips that I can might be to like boost this, but I feel like it's more of a show with sugar than anything else. So like creating clouds and then amazing designs on the beignets, or like just perfectly covered sugar funnel cakes and things like that. I am so hungry now.
Oh, nice. Okay, I think that might be a nature check, but I'll give you advantage on that nature check.
Okay.
Through the description to see like how fanciful your wares you've created.
I got a 19 plus 1.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so the queue is literally around the tent. People are spreading it by word of mouth, and you sell out of your cakes almost completely in between this performance. In fact, you have to turn a couple of people away at the end.
Oh,
again,
bummer.
Earning Sal a good cut of the funnel cake store this evening. So yeah, very profitable.
Sal's a very happy man.
I'm sorry if I missed this. Does Sal have a cigar, perhaps?
Always be closed.
I hope so.
Yeah. How does that look of being smoked by a beak? I mean, is it in the side of the beak, or does it go in one like the nostrils? I don't know. You tell me.
It's kind of like angles downward because
Yeah. It's a bit of almost like an overbite situation, which is making it point vertically down.
But he doesn't need one of those little things to cut the cigar because he's got that built in. He just kind of
snips it off.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yes, so talking about how successful the funnel cake stand was and the two children that tried to steal from it. So, Cece, you're doing your perimeter walk around the big top. And as you do that, you do see two miscreant kids running away from the funnel cake stand in your direction. They're looking behind them. One of them's rubbing their temple. And they're not looking where they're going, and they collide into you. One of them falls on their behind. What do you do?
Okay, cool. Well, Cece's a very nice and polite person. Did I see them attempt to steal? This will
You did.
determine what I do. Did I
Yes.
see them attempt to steal?
Yes.
All right, cool. Then I'm gonna help obviously the one that collided with me get up. I assume the friend is waiting nearby, or do I need to do a grapple to try and grab that kid that's running?
At the moment, they're kind of like stock still in place, a little bit shocked.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna pick the one up, and while I'm picking that one up, I'm gonna grab the other one before the kid tries to bolt, and I'm just gonna kindly, just politely ask them like where their parents are. I just wanna gauge these kids first.
Okay. Oh, please, ma'am, don't like say us. Don't report us to my parents or anything. We were just just having a bit of fun, just running around. We didn't nick anything or anything. Everything's fine. Please don't tell our parents.
It's quite all right, young one. It's quite all right. You're not in any trouble. Where are your parents, though? This isn't somewhere you can just freely walk about. Where are they?
They point over to the side of the big top, where there are a group of 5 individuals, male and female, all indulging in libations. They're getting quite tanked, in fact. And as you look over, one of them starts pushing the other. And before you know it, a small fight has broken out.
Okay, come on. 1 second. Alright, cool. Sweet. So I would like to grab the kids and bring them along with me to approach the fight. And just before I need to hit someone across the face, Cece would like to just basically shout out just to try and get everyone's attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you roll either persuasion or intimidation check, depending on how you want to.
Let's start with persuasion. I'm not trying to scare anyone.
Sure. Just trying to step in between.
Cool. So that's going to be a 12.
A couple of them that aren't engaged in fist fighting look over, but 3 of them that are sort of pushing, shoving, and punching each other don't really take any heed.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to have to switch to intimidation to try and get their attention.
Okay, the 2 that see you back off as you approach the brawl. Roll an intimidation check.
Sure. How does a nat 20 sound?
Amazing. So give me, flavour this. Give it a bit of juice.
All right,
How
cool.
do you intimidate
So,
these 3 brawling individuals?
Well, a cleric wearing full plate with a shield and a mace. This should be quite easy. So, after the other 3 have kind of just backed off and dispersed, I'm going to kind of just crouch down, put my hands on both the children's shoulders, and just ask them kindly, wait here. I'm going to get up, walk towards, not 5 feet in front of them. I'm going to take out my shield, my mace. I'm going to slam my greave as hard as I can into the ground and slam my mace against the shield.
Okay.
I'm just looking at them. I'm not saying anything. I'm just grabbing their attention for now.
So the collision of your mace to your shield rings out in such a way that it almost causes them to physically be pushed back. They immediately stop what they're doing, looking wide-eyed up as to someone wearing full plate, as you mentioned, with this elaborate-looking mace and a shield. They immediately look to one another and stand up, dusting off their clothes, shrugging. Yeah, what do you want? We weren't doing nothing. They're acting quite belligerent and obviously quite drunk.
I can see that. All right. You have 2 options right now. 1, quiet down, go back and enjoy yourselves, and I will not do anything as of yet. 2, continue to act in an unseemly manner, and I will be forced to throw you out.
Yeah.
Do we have an understanding?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other 2 are kind of looking a bit sheepish. One's a little bit more brazen, possibly a little bit more drunk than the others. And they just offer apologies. One of them just looking down at their feet, scuffing their toe on the floor, looking quite sheepish about the whole thing. And eventually they just disperse back into the crowds with no real further...
First of all, whose children are these?
One of the 2 that backed off originally when you did your persuasion check, one of them puts their hands up. goes, yes, me boy.
All right. Can I please ask you kindly to take care of these two and watch them? I'm not saying you may not enjoy yourselves, but please do keep in mind they are your responsibility, not mine.
Yeah, of course, whatever you say. Don't want any trouble. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Enjoy your day.
Sorry. Yeah, no, you too.
Okay,
And they
continue my
scurry
patrol.
off. Cool.
Awesome.
And finally, right, so, Papo, you've been operating the turntable for the performance, but you obviously have some other duties to perform. What do you get to after the knife throwing?
So part of the job is just making sure that the ride equipment is in proper order. So it's one of those make sure, basically walk around the where the rides were set up, finding all the bolts and screws that have fallen out, make sure to put them back in place before the next use, so that we don't lose any more customers like we had once or twice. There's sometimes where I sleep in and I don't manage to find all the bolts, so when swinging them around they might go flying off, but most of the time they're fine, and we've got clerics around, so it's
there you go.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's a lot of botch jobs that have happened on some of the rides in the interim, where things are probably getting a bit to the end of their life, and their life didn't have a particularly long span to begin with. So as you get to the merry-go-round, you hear quite a ear-piercing screeching coming from the mechanics underneath as it's spinning around. Why don't you do an investigation check for me, please?
beautiful. Well, thank goodness I crit, because I have a -1.
Okay. You know that this merry-go-round is on the verge of just coming off of his axis. Fortunately, though, with a natural 20, you know exactly what the problem is. It does involve you having to crawl on your belly underneath the merry-go-round as it's currently operating to try and fix it. So I'll say with a natural 20, actually, you can give me a you can choose what you do to try and fix this ride.
Okay, so as I crawl underneath, I see a piece of bracket that was being held together by a chip clip, and I was like, oh, right, that's it. I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
So I carry my weapons around, right? There's no reason I wouldn't.
No, exactly. Yeah.
I'm
Probably a lot safer than keeping it in your tent or your caravan.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull out one of my hand axes, which I imagine have a smaller handle, and I'm going to try to pin that in there to lock everything in place.
Perfect. Why don't you do an athletics check for me, please?
Beautiful. This one I'm good at.
Cool.
That's a 15, 16, 17 total.
Amazing, yes. So the screeching subsides and the merry-go-round kind of rights itself a little bit as you knock this bracket back into place. There are no more, there's no risk of any liability with people just flying randomly off this merry-go-round, or indeed it collapsing in its entirety. Again, saving some money for the carnival on the payouts to people with injuries. Wunderbar.
Can I make a note?
Of course.
This does not at all represent the safety of any of our shows.
Oh, of course not, yes.
Whatsoever. No.
No.
Disclaimer, this is a place where we can enact things that don't actually happen.
Right, exactly.
Where this is an entire fantasy world where we can play out the things that are completely unrealistic.
Our entire ops team are just crying at the moment.
Also, Sal as an event director, I don't know.
Well, listen, if you attend a ReedPop show, you will not get stabbed with a spectral knife. I can assure you.
That we can assure you. And it now loops back round to the final performance of the night. Usually this is reserved for the spectacle. It alternates between some of the performers. Tonight's turn goes to Windy.
Wow. I'm ready.
Yes. Limping a little bit from your previous injury, trying to shake off that thigh wound. But you do climb up to the top of the main mast of the big top, and you're ready for your performance. Would you like to describe what you're going to be performing tonight?
Yeah, so tonight we are going to be doing some flying trapeze, while also, get ready for this, playing my lute.
So some
Now-
musical Cirque du Soleil.
Basically.
So think of like I have my hands on it, and then when I go to do a flip, I like spin my lute around and I play a few bars, and then I grab it again. It's dangerous. It's exciting. The fans love it. And
You
we're
might
gonna
die.
Hey, we gotta take some risks.
Absolutely. Now, there's a question for Sal. As the person that does a lot of the purchases and controls the budget, have you opted for a safety net, or is that just one of those expenses that isn't really necessary?
Yeah, Phil,
So we have a safety net, but it's not great. Like, we bought it a while ago, and it needs to be replaced. Like, it'll probably hold if someone fell into it, but who knows?
Yeah. So it's got like a patchwork of different holes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bits and pieces have been stitched up, and maybe only like 3 out of the 4 corners tie properly now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's a hole that we stitched over with like unsold T-shirts.
Oh no.
so it's an unsafety net.
Yes. Have you told your performers about the state of the net, or is that not something you'd like to impart on the rest?
No,
of the
I mean you can see looking at it what its appearance is. It's we're all making calculated risk.
Yeah, there's no bones about it. You know exactly what kind of state this is in. Perfect. So, knowing this, would you like to do a performance check? Actually, no. We'll start off with an acrobatics check. Sorry, for Windy.
Alrighty.
As you
Alright.
start your trapeze.
Let's go. I got a 3.
Got a 3?
but My
Oh
bonus,
no.
my
But there's a
acrobatics
caveat.
bonus is +6.
Okay.
So we have 9.
All right. I'll be kind. I'm a kind and generous DM after all. Please roll for me a dexterity saving throw as you launch yourself from the top echelons of this big top and your hands kind of slip.
Oh no. Okay.
You need to try and grab it back on,
D20 again.
please. Your difficulty check is 8, so you need to get 8 or higher on your dexterity check.
No.
If there was any doubt that we weren't being honest about our dice rolls.
That's it. So, yes, the final performance of the night starts with the... Yeah, there it is. For all the world to see. You grab the bar of the trapeze rope. You launch yourself off, immediately lose your grip, flail as you fall, and you see that you are diving for, unfortunately, one of the large shredded areas of the safety net below you. However, I do believe you have a particular magic item on you.
I do. I'm gonna use my magic item. Hold on. I gotta remember what it is.
I just want to confirm as well that this failure had nothing to do with the fact that I did stab her in the leg earlier. It was not my
No,
fault.
it did not. You're clear. You're in the clear.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to use my ring of feather falling, please.
Absolutely. So as you lose your grip and you start plummeting, you don't plummet at a normal speed. Rather, you fall much like a feather towards the netting at the bottom. Now, as the trapeze rope sort of flings away from you, it makes its return journey. As you're falling quite slowly, I'm going to let you do another dexterity saving throw to try and save. Actually, dexterity, another performance check to see if you can grab hold of the returning trapeze bar.
Okay, let's do this.
See if you can star this out and make it look like it was intentional.
Let's go, Bugbear.
Okay, alright. 8 on my die, and
Okay.
then my performance is +4.
The DC I had in mind, I mean, I could say whatever I want to say now, but the DC I did have in mind was 12. And so you hit 12, meaning that you just, at the very last second, grab onto the bar and it swings you back. The entire room was in silence, and there's a whole collective gasp as actually you do carry on in your trapeze. Now, do you want to carry on with your lute playing as well when you get to the climax of the swing?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Roll another performance check for me, please.
Okay, let's do this. Wow, this is like addicting. Keep rolling. All right, 5 plus 4. 10.
9.
So with a 9, you switch to from your hands to your legs. So you're upside down now. You take the lute out. You start trying to play, but the whole kind of rhythm's been put off a little bit. So I'll leave it up to you. Which one do you want to suffer the most? Do you want the swing or the playing of the lute? One of them's probably not going to sound or look great.
This is hard because I'm a performer. I want to sound good at both.
Hmm.
Okay, all right. We're gonna
So
let the lute suffer because realistically, like, who else can trapeze and play a lute at the same time? Like, these people are gonna be amazed.
Yes,
Asking
that's
a
correct.
lot.
Yeah.
It is.
So as you start strumming, unfortunately, you kind of feel like your knees slipping slightly. Your bugbear claws go a little bit too hard on the strings, and you cut 2 of the lute strings, making this discordant, not very nice sound as you swing back. But you do complete the loop. You manage to put the loop back. You flip back over, grab the other trapeze rope, and you swing back to the perch. And you do get an enormous round of applause. If it wasn't for the initial fake out of what it looks like, where you actually had started falling, but you turned that around, has really garnered yourself some favour and notoriety in the town that you're in. And people are just giving you a huge standing ovation.
Wow, this is great.
Indeed. Again, it's a gold sound to your ears, Sal.
I'm bowing over and over again.
Yes. Let's climb down. All the performers get back out onto the big top arena. So there are a couple of other acrobats in there. There's a fire eater. There's obviously Meg and her illusionists. There's a couple of performance clowns in there as well. You all link arms and take a big bow. Sorry, Ree.
I was more concerned for Kylie because of the clown.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll survive. It's fine. Although I did ask for no clowns.
Indeed. They know of your aversions to their general being, so that you find them at the end of the line and you're in the middle, linking arms with Meg as you take your bow, and people start filing out to the big top, and you hear the clatter of bronze, silver, and even gold coins in the tip bucket on the way out.
Ooh.
Sal's happy.
Good show. Good show, everyone. Good show.
Pretty successful.
There's another successful show. As soon as the audience gets out of the big top and away from the general area, the big pack-up happens. Everyone starts breaking stuff down in record time because people just want to have a few drinks and get to bed. You 6 sort of converge. You're some of the longest standing / senior members of the carnival, so you tend to have the bigger fire pit, which is surrounded by the caravans that transport all your equipment. It's up to you if you want to get into any kind of discussion about like tonight's performance, how much money you made, any issues you want to raise about like equipment failing during the show, that kind of stuff. You're all together now around this campfire.
I brought fresh snacks.
Thank you, darling. It was lovely.
Do you
I
have
want to
any
know
of-
how Wendy feels about the fact that I just keep injuring her night after night.
Well, frankly, it is Sal's choice what shows to run.
True.
Sal.
Listen, I wouldn't put you up there if I didn't think you could do it.
I appreciate the support.
I mean, obviously I'm in a little bit of pain, but I gotta do what I gotta do to make money, and I will continue to allow you to throw knives at me.
The dedication. I love this team.
A real troop at this one.
I noticed the crowd seemed to kind of get really excited when the daggers hit. So maybe I could go a little slower to make it easier for you to hit them.
Wait, that's
You
not
don't
what
leave
the
the lead.
No, we are not letting our friends be injured.
All right. That's
I
fair.
offer myself as a prop, not necessarily a dead prop. So,
Quite right.
listen, we need a raise.
So yeah, I mean, I guess can I pay everybody for the evening's festivities?
Yeah,
and
actually,
give
yeah.
a little bit of extra because we just finished our run in the town.
Yeah, of course. It's up to you how much you think is fair to give to the collective.
How much do we earn versus expenses? So profit. What's our profit?
That's up to Sal.
I think we did very well for a three-day run in the town. I think I'm going to give everybody like 1 gold piece for as kind of like a bonus for the end of the.
Nice. And how much would you normally pay for like per night?
I think that is like a silver too much for like an evening, and then like instead of them having gotten a silver tonight, they get a gold.
So it might. So for frame of reference, a gold usually ends up in real world terms ending up to be about $20.
Okay.
So whatever you think is fair to pay people.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. So what in like real world terms? What's a silver? Like
$2.
$2. Okay.
Yeah.
And then a copper would be 1. Okay. So like let's say that like after a night, a night, everyone would have gotten 10 silver.
Cool.
But instead they're gonna get 5 gold.
Nice. Incredibly lucrative run at this town. Everybody's feeling quite flush tonight.
I am absolutely not happy with my cut because I 100% think that I'm the star of the show. So I'm going to spend the rest of the evening just trying to steal the money from everyone else.
Wow. All right.
Lots of
Rogue
slight
doing rogue
coming
things.
our way.
I'm sorry,
A lot
does
of
the star of the show participate in only 1 performance for the night, or do we perform in 2? Because I was in 2 performances.
Okay, in that case,
Cut me!
I steal from everyone else apart from Windy because I do feel really bad about that knife cut.
Okay, that's fair. The question is, does everybody kind of know that this happens on a regular basis, that Meg is someone that kind of goes around maybe...
Meg, is this a considerable often thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Is
think
this
we
a
all
doctor?
know,
Is this a
right?
thing you
I
do?
feel like my character's not paying that much attention to the amount of money. So long as I have the ingredients to make what I'm making, I tend to not pay that much attention. I'm
That's
very
fair.
simple in that way. So I would say she probably gets it past me more often than not.
And yeah, like I am a runner of a carnival, so I'm pretty used to dealing with shady and shifty people. So I'm, all due respect to people who make a living on the carnival circuit, but I'm prepared.
Okay.
I am literally security.
Yes, that's true.
That's all I'm saying. I'm literally security.
And I know about Papo.
I haven't noticed. As long as she hasn't taken my seashells, I don't
That's
think
fair.
I've noticed.
I would
Okay.
know that.
There's a few people that are kind of like almost oblivious to like fungible items. Obviously, like both Meg and Windy are kind of often at loggerheads about who is star of the show, which is kind of why Sal often rotates to try and keep everybody happy. Sal, so you kind of know that this thing happens sometimes with Meg. Do you tend to pad people's pay, which has that difference, has a little bit of buffer, so that people are still getting what they're paid for? And then Meg gets a little bit extra, but actually you do pay her less than what you think she's worth, that kind of thing? Or are you just blanket like, I don't care?
Everyone gets the same. It's not that I don't care. It's just that it's more of like like a survival of the fittest thing.
Sure.
Like
sure.
if you are not paying enough attention to your own coin purse, I can't help with that.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Okay, so I will use Papo and Drew's passive perception, but if Sal, Windy, and Cece want to do a perception check for me, please.
That's going to be a 19 for me.
Cool.
That's gonna be a nat 1 for me.
Okay.
Wait, who is the third person?
Enjoy my funds.
Kylie, you as well, if you do a perception check as well.
Sorry, I'm still trying to get used to my name.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. A 20!
Nice. Okay. So both Sal and Windy are like very conscious about their coin purse, but yeah, CC not so much. So can I do a sleight of hand check from Meg, please?
Yeah. 18 plus 8.
Jeez.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Well,
despite the incredible rolls from both Sal and Windy, they still don't notice Meg's practiced hand in the coin purse, taking a couple of gold from you both. So, Meg, you have 3 gold. So you get 8 gold in total.
Perfect.
Oh, no, sorry. You get 10 gold in total.
Even better.
And Drew, Papo, Windy, and Cece, you all get 4 gold. So you can add that to your character sheets.
Okay.
And Sal, you have the entire fund for the entire place, so you just lose 1 gold, but ultimately that doesn't really impact your own personal profits at all.
Cool.
quick question. I just
Sure.
want to figure out how to add gold to my character sheet because I'm not used to D&D Beyond.
Absolutely. So if you go to equipment
Yep.
tab, there'll be a currency on the right-hand side.
Oh,
If you
I see
click
it.
if you click on that, you can actually add gold. You can adjust currency. It'll bring out a little slider.
Great. And was that 4 gold on top of the one that
That's
Sal
all
already gave us?
That's all inclusive. So 4. You would have got 5, but you get 4.
Right, because my friend over here, Meg, stole money from me after she told me she wouldn't.
Yes, but her sleight of hand so good you don't notice that.
Okay, fine.
I'm gonna go up to Windy when there's a quiet moment, and I'm just gonna say, I feel so bad about what happened earlier. Like, I really appreciate that you always take part in this stunt with me. Like, it means so much. So here, have one of my gold.
Oh,
Oh, Meg, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome. I couldn't do this without you. So yeah.
Wow, you're like my best friend in the circus.
Wow.
I walk over to Papo with a small satchel of the really tough donut holes that I threw at those children earlier.
oh yeah.
Because he likes.
There you go. So Papo, Drew, approaches you with like a small cloth sack full of these donut holes that have kind of like what was gone past their usual like sell-by quality, but to you, they are a delicacy.
Aged to perfection.
And unless anybody else has anything they wish to do this evening, the rest of the night goes as usual when you're packing up the carnival and preparing to move on.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Rock and roll. So you'll have a restful night's sleep, the kind of sleep that comes from running quite a physical performance for the last 3 days. Indeed. So in the morning, Sal, you've decided that you're not too far away from your home village of Waldenbridge, where you grew up. It's a very small, sleepy village in the middle of nowhere, mostly farming, has very few exports. You decided now is a perfect opportunity to go and visit some family.
Cool.
So you're sending the majority of the carnival off to the next town, but you and a select few of your closer friends, i.e. these other 5, are going to come with you. They're all quite interested to see where you grew up and just to have a little bit of R&R outside of the carnival hubbub.
Cool.
So in the morning, you take one of the caravans off, and you go and visit Walden Bridge. Now, as you approach Walden Bridge, it's a small village. Population's no more than about 160 people. Most of these houses here are made of wattle and daub, and they've got a thatch roof and no windows. It's mostly a farming village, to a point where about 80% of the domiciles here have about a third of the inside penned off animals to live inside. Most have looms to create their own clothing and sacks and other bits and pieces that they can sell. The common structures in some of the richer houses, however, are made of stone on the first floor and wattle and daub on the upper floors with windows and tiled roofs. Your parents live in one such of the more affluent houses. As you approach Walden Ridge, it is a sunny spring day. The settlement is surrounded by sweet-smelling fields of lilac flowers and acres of wheat that are being harvested and placed into wooden carts. At the south entrance to the village, there is a large windmill that converts some of the wheat into flour for the local bakery. You know that the local bakery is called Aunt Millicent's Bakery. It's run by a small-known lady called Millicent Tippeldunk. She services a lot of the food for your town. It doesn't look like much things have changed. However, as the six of you approach, you are getting the side eye from a lot of the farming community. Whereas before it was quite a welcoming and open community, now you seem to be given the cold shoulder and be regarded with some suspect.
Okay.
What
Can we? Yeah. Do we notice anything kind of off about it outside of the villagers themselves?
It's sort of spring harvest time, so everyone seems to be working the field. But as soon as you approach anyone, like the people that are loading up the carts, you would normally expect a warm welcome. In this instance, they're all keeping themselves to themselves and giving you very much the cold shoulder. You can even see some of them like even looking specifically at you, Sal, and muttering things under their breath to the people that they're with.
I'm going to just kind of, give a gentle wave to people as we pass by on our way to my parents.
Okay. When you wave to them, they again scowl at you and say nothing.
Okay. So something seems off here, guys. But
you don't say.
I think we'll just kind of we're not here for them. We're gonna keep heading on down the road.
You arrive in the village proper. It's got one long main street, which is just a dirt track, with a lot of the houses and common areas, common rooms, splayed out along there. The rest of the village is there's a couple of more offshoots of the side streets, and the rest have all farming houses peppered around the village proper. You get to your parents' house, and when you go to open the door is locked. Usually in these type of small villages, no one really locks their doors. It's quite a close-knit community. If someone steals from you, it's very easy to work out who that person is. There's only sort of 30 to 40 houses here.
I'm going to.
Oh, sorry, Chris. I think you might have cut out there a little bit.
Okay. I'm gonna knock on the door.
Yeah, no problem. You knock on the door. You wait 10, 20 seconds, and there is no answer.
So since we are bird folk, I know that we have like a skylight on the roof that we sometimes enter and exit out of the house. So I'm going to fly up and see if I can get it now.
Absolutely. You fly up, and indeed the skylight itself is ajar. Peering down through the paned glass, you see through the upper corridor area. Your parents' bedroom door is open, and you see that there's someone in bed.
So I want to respect the privacy of anybody, but especially my family. So I'm just gonna kind of poke my beak in there and give a yell and see if anybody responds.
As you do a familiar Aarakocra cry, like a welcome home song. I won't make you do it, don't worry.
Do it.
I was gonna say, it just sounds like someone shouting down the street of New York. Hey!
Hey, yeah,
I'm walking in.
I'm walking.
Oh god, indeed. That the customary Aarakocran greeting of "Hey, I'm walking here."
Hey, I'm flying here.
And you don't get the familial response of "Forget about it." There is no reciprocation. Don't worry, I'm not going to attempt a New York accent. I don't wish to offend anybody on this stream.
Sure. Yeah.
But no, your whomever's in the bed, or if your parents happen to be elsewhere in the house, you don't hear a response. Everything
Okay,
is
so I'm
deathly
going
silent.
to. I'll drop in and kind of see if I can wake them.
Whoa.
Sorry there, Chris. You cut out again a little
Cutting
bit.
out again. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so I'm gonna. Can you hear me now? I'm gonna
Indeed, yeah.
drop and give whoever's in the bed a little bit.
Cool. You swoop back in into the corridor and approach your parents' bedroom tentatively. As you stick your pigeon neck in and look around, you do identify it's your mother. She is laying in bed. She's not moving, and her breaths are quite shallow.
I ask her if she's okay, and I'm trying to see if her eyes are open.
Her eyes are currently closed, and again, there is no response to your question. She looks, for all intents and purposes, asleep.
Okay. Can I do? I don't know. What is there a check here that I can do that might kind of reveal anything about the situation?
Absolutely.
Sorry, guys. Just on that, can we just pause for a second because Kylie's gone down.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I think she's
and
trying to
feel
look
like-
back in.
Yeah, I
if
feel like
our
this is
layout
content she wouldn't want to
looks
miss.
a little
Yes,
funny.
absolutely.
That's because it'll fix itself as soon as she comes back.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely fine. While we wait for Kylie, there are a couple of things you could do. We won't restart the narrative, but things you could do is you could try a medicine check on her to see if she is indeed asleep and why she's not waking up. You could try to do a general perception check of the house or the interior of the room in general, or you could do an investigation to try and find something specific about, maybe check the bed or check the nightstand, or
Okay.
look for something that might be a bit more untoward.
Sounds
good. Good. No?
I think Kylie's jumping back in now. Just
Yep.
waiting for her to.
Attempting to.
Do. The tension.
You got a
Almost.
Discord.
Oh, try again.
Loading. Oof.
So, Sal, you obviously know that things are not quite what you expected. Your village, again, is a very close-knit community. It's very unusual for anyone to be given the cold shoulder unless they've committed some kind of grievous act against the community at large. And the fact that your parents' front door was locked, your father's not around, your mother seems to be unresponsive in her bed. Does obviously ring a few alarm bells, to say the least.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do an investigation in and of around the area of the bed just to see if anything's.
Yeah, sure. So some cursory glances around. Before you do the roll, you can hear. You can see. Oh. We'll just hang on for a sec to see if
sure.
Kylie's able to brute force our way back into the stream. Fingers crossed.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Okay.
There
Alright.
we go. Cool.
There you go.
Awesome sauce. Oh. It's jumpy, but it's working.
Slowly regaining.
Okay. Cool.
Nice and slowly.
There you go.
Oh no.
Might take a it might take a while for it to level back out.
Populate.
The pitfalls and traps of streaming. It's all
Wait,
crazy.
okay, I can hear you
Ah, there we go.
perfectly now.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
that looks good.
Cool.
Amazing.
I don't know what happened. I
Don't
wanted
touch
to do the
anything.
Wi-Fi.
It's all good. These things happen.
Awesome.
Cool. Just to catch you up, Sal has entered in through the skylight of his parents' house, dropped down into the corridor, poked his head into his parents' room, seen that it looks like his mother is in bed. From all intents and purposes, it looks like she's asleep, but she's not waking up or responding to his calls. So he's about to do an investigation check. A cursory glance around the room, you can see that there are some rudimentary medical supplies on the nightstand.
Okay.
So it looks
Alright,
like
so
yeah, go for it.
alright. Nat 20.
Amazing. Okay. So the things that no, Kylie's fallen over.
Sorry.
Oh no.
It's all good.
She got so excited about the natural 20.
Yeah.
So investigating the immediate area in your parents' bedroom, you notice several things with a natural 20. You notice that it looks like your mother has been attended to on what looks like a daily basis. She's like been turned so she doesn't get bed sores. Looks like she's been here for a while. Nothing has been bandaged up. She doesn't look like she's been wounded. Also, another thing you notice as well with a natural 20 is that your father's travel case has disappeared, along with some of his personal effects and some clothing, specifically travel clothing.
All right, that's not good. So what I'm gonna do first is I will go open the door and let everybody else in because I know that we have a cleric. So maybe that will assist us, and maybe that will reveal some other things going on here.
Absolutely. You come downstairs. You open up the front door, and you're greeted by the 5 concerned faces.
That took a while. It's everything.
Yeah, guys, there's something wrong with my and my dad is nowhere to be found. CC, maybe if you could come take a look at her, maybe there's a spell or something, or maybe you can see if she's magically sick or something.
Certainly. Let's go.
So you all, you all trudge upstairs. I imagine Sal ushers you into his parents' bedroom, where you find a slightly older-looking Aarakocra, much of like the pigeon variety, with slightly more faded colorizations on her feathers. Her head's off to one side. She is shallow breathing and doesn't seem to be responsive at all. What do you do?
Cool. Can I open with walking into the room and just doing a general Arcana check?
Yeah, what are you looking for specifically, Arcana-wise?
Any traces of magic.
Mm-hmm.
Legitimately anything.
Okay, roll an Arcana check.
That would be a 16.
16. So you don't find any traces of anything like reagents laying on any surfaces. You don't see any like runes or magical inscriptions written on anything on the doorways, on the floor beneath the bed. There's no like magical tomes other than maybe what your parents might have hoarded over the years. But nothing seems to be out of place. There doesn't seem to be any like magical trappings or fixtures.
Can I,
All right.
while he's checking for Arcana, do a medicine check on her?
Absolutely, yeah. Go for it.
All right. That's a 13 total.
A 13. Yeah, again, you test the pulse. It seems to be slow but steady. Shallow breathing. and you do a very cursory check of Sal's mother, and yeah, it doesn't look like she's been attacked. There's no like bruising, there's no stab marks. She's just asleep, unconscious, inexplicably almost.
She have a history of deep sleeps, comas, narcolepsy, anything like that?
No, she was perfectly healthy when I left. And I don't get back here that often, and they're getting pretty old. But I've been back a couple of times since I made my living on the road, running the carnival. And the last time I was here was probably a couple years ago. But they were both here, and they were both in good.
Well, there's nothing of an arcane nature wrong with her, so it must be medicinal in some sense.
So, Cece, what do you want to do? As the sort of like on-call doctor here, I guess it's down to you. You might have some insights that the others may not, magical or otherwise.
Yeah, I'm a combat doctor though, so if this doesn't work, then this is not. Then it's
True.
definitely going to be medicinal. All right, so I'm gonna. All right, Sal, would you mind if I use the spell?
Please,
on your mother?
go for it.
All right. I'm going to cast Cure Wound. No, not Cure Wounds. Healing Word.
Okay.
And just see if that does anything.
No
Okay.
worries. Just going to quickly have a look at the specifics of Healing Word. Right. Right. You cast Healing Word. You feel that the spell has a desired effect. But again, it doesn't seem to be a condition that is caused by her suffering kind of like a physical damage. There's something like a little bit deeper wrong with her.
Maybe if we're
I'm
having
afraid
trouble
that's
figuring her thing out, why don't we see if we can track down the dad? Perhaps do a tracking check to see where he last was in the house and how he might have left it.
Sure. Yeah, you can roll a survival check.
Okay.
Anybody can.
I have a +3 just in case. Does anyone else have?
Yeah,
better?
same.
Okay.
Yeah, I've also got a +3.
+3.
You could also do like a help action, so one of you could help another person. That would give them an advantage on their roll.
I'll help Sean since he or Papo since he was the person to put this forward.
Sure.
And I also know the house kind of well.
12. Oh, but
12.
I'm getting helped.
Yes, you get advantage.
Yeah, advantage.
12.
12.
Okay.
Good chat. It becomes a little bit difficult for you to discern individual track, specifically if you're looking for Sal's father. It looks like there are quite a few individuals have been in this bedroom over the course of the last week or so that maybe has
I'm not
obscured.
judging. It's fine.
But it looks like it may
have needs too.
She's still a vibrant woman. So yes, it seems to have obscured a lot of the more recent tracks that may have been left by Sal's father. So either he hasn't been in here recently, or it's just been jumbled up too much in the general meanderings of people going to and from.
I think that maybe since we're not getting really anything out of her or out of the house, maybe we should go ask neighbors or some townsfolk. Does anybody else have any other ideas before we maybe try that?
Well, frankly, would anyone speak to us?
As soon as we arrived in this town, I just immediately abandoned you guys. So I'm not actually in the house with you. I'm just out looking to see if there are any little kids playing out and about that I can entertain.
Okay.
I've been hanging back and I'm very excited about going to the bakery. So that's kind of like, I'll volunteer to go check the bakery.
Yeah, I'm fine with going out and asking some people. I think I have some spells that can kind of convince people to give us some answers should they not want to.
Cool.
All right. The very hand approach. Okay.
So we'll go to Sal, because I'll give him a few options of the places, because he knows the town very well. I'll tell him what the general like common areas are, and so a few key people. So in Walden Ridge, there's an All Faiths chapel here called Our Lady of Anguish, where visitors can pay respects and leave tokens of their faith in a collective pool. It's, as far as you know, still run and tended to by a cleric called Father Mortis. The one and only tavern in the small village is called the Well and Spriggan. It's half house, half tavern that serves as the village's meeting place when needed. And it was run by a dwarf called Bluster Brewbeard, a ginger-haired alemaster of the Northern Mountains. There's also the village office, which is the ground floor of Saffron Eve Burrows' house, where she and the constable of the village run things from day to day. It's a very small area, but they have facing tables, and there's usually some butting heads between the ways that they believe that the town should be run, but overall they seem to get on pretty well. And the last thing was Aunt Millicent's Bakery, which is part of the windmill. And we'll skip over to what Meg's doing, as Meg didn't enter Sal's house. As you look around, you've probably heard a few stories from Sal recounting some of his childhood and growing up in the village. And he always seems to recount it as being a very sort of idyllic place. Hard-working people, people who work the land, but still a community that always comes together. It doesn't look like this to you. So either he's been embellishing his stories somewhat, or back with rose-tinted glasses, or something else is amiss. For there are no people outside doing sort of flagrant things that aren't necessarily just working. The only people you've really seen are those working in the fields as you entered, but there's no one really hanging around. Although you can hear the soft, faint piano music coming from the tavern.
So there are no kids about anywhere?
No. It seems to be not abandoned, but everywhere seems to either be people that are inside or they're out working.
In that case, I'm going to head towards the tavern because I like the sound of the music, and also I've been working hard. I'm going to go get a drink.
That's fair. Okay, we're going to scooch back to everybody else. So Sal, now you know that those few places exist. What would you like to do?
I think that we should go to the Well and Spriggan. My family, I wouldn't say that they imbibed quite a bit, but they did spend a lot of time. Like you said, they worked the land. They were really blue collar working folk, and they did enjoy to blow off some steam in the tavern, so to speak. And people there would know them or would be seeing them on a regular basis and would know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So I think if who wants to go where first of all?
I want to go to the chapel, Our Lady of English, to talk to Father Mortis.
Okay.
Agreed.
So Robbie and Kylie, you going there? Yeah. Sean, where would you like to go?
I can go to the tavern as well.
Tavern? Yeah. Ree?
I feel like I don't want to split off too much from everyone else, so I will follow along with Sal and Papo to the tavern.
Okay. So we've got 4 for the tavern and 2 for the chapel. we'll go
get to that bakery, Ree, I promise.
Yeah, in fact, actually, you know a little bit more about the bakery as well, Aunt Millicent's. It's well known in this entire region, and it's one of the few businesses in Walden Ridge that has exports. They have famous lavender scones that she tends to export to nearby towns and villages. But skipping over to the tavern, the Well in Spriggan. Meg enters there maybe a minute or two before everybody else. But this description is for everybody that's going to go there. Behind the bar, you do see a dwarf. Looks to be middle-aged for a dwarf, which could be anywhere between 80 to 100 years old. His beard is dark copper, and looks to almost either be very, very well oiled or constantly wet with whatever he seems to be brewing that day. In fact, at this point, he's got his head sort of poised over a barrel, and he's adding ingredients to a mash tun, which he's then placing over a fire to heat up. I'll
call out to him, Bluster. I assume that he knows me. I grew up there. He maybe hasn't seen me in a while or hasn't seen me regularly, but I'll give him a shot.
Indeed. The other two notable figures in the tavern, which again there's one of the local farmers who's sitting eating a plate of bread and stew and enjoying an ale, and the familiar sight of Jones on the piano.
Okay.
Now, the locals have taken to calling this creature Jones, and the most prevalent theory behind his existence that it was once a bard that had crossed a wizard of great repute and stole a wealth of their magical items. The mage tracked down the bard to a tavern, this one, where they were playing for gold and glory. As the story goes, the wizard cursed the bard to play forever at the piano, unable to move or stop. Since that story, that bard has died. And in its place is just a fleshless skeleton. And it's been this way since you've lived in this town. And they've called it Jones. People also tend to dress up Jones in a myriad of different clothing. So he's got like an old battered top hat, moth-eaten scarf. Someone's put like a long trench coat over his shoulders, and a myriad of the children, you don't know who, is drawn a curly moustache on his skull just above where his teeth are. You know that Jones can no longer speak and doesn't react, but will take musical requests.
Do they dress Jones in festive holiday attire? So, like, did they put him at Christmas time? Like, do they dress him like a bunny at Easter? Basically does the Wellenspriggan get down on themed Joneses?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's even a small chest next to where the piano is for changes of clothes.
Great, I love it.
Yeah, so the local farms will donate one of their larger pumpkins during sort of the Hallows Eve time, which will be placed very carefully over Jones's head and then carved out the eye sockets and the mouth for him to see through. No one knows if he actually does use eyes like a normal person. Things that you put on doesn't really seem to obstruct his vision.
Phenomenal. Yeah, so I'll lead kind of our trio up to the bar. And I'll kind of like smack a hand down on the bar and I'll call out for
Yes, so Bluster Brewbeard sort of jumps when you slam your winged hand down on the bar. Actually, I should ask you before we carry on. As an Aarakocra, you can either have wings on your back and clawed arms as per usual, or you can flavor it up that you just have wings.
I'm gonna do just wings.
Okie dokie. So instead of having prehensile fingers, you just get by scooping things with your larger wingspan.
Love it.
Cool. So yeah, Bluster jumps with a start and turns around. Hey, what the F are you doing back here, laddie?
It's been a while since I've been home, but I was passing through. We just finished a 3-night stay over at the fairgrounds a couple towns over, and I was stopping by to see me parents, and my dad's and my mom is sick, and everyone's kind of giving us the side eye. I was kind of wondering maybe you knew what was going.
Oh, yeah, you've really picked an awful time to come back here, dear friend. It's not a good time for you to be around. Your father's in a wee bit of trouble now. He's absconded now about 7 days ago. And your mother, God bless her soul, she's been in a coma for that entire time.
Do you know why she's in
No. Father Mortis, before he self-isolated himself in chapel, tried to figure out exactly what was going on with her, but he had no luck. The townsfolk your neighbours have done their best to make her comfortable, treat her as best they can, but nobody seems to be able to wake her up.
So I think that we should end up going and talking to Father Mortis soon, but do you know why my father absconded?
Well, the prevalent theory here is that he poisoned your mother, took what wealth you had left, and ran off to the nearby city to look for fame and fortune, or maybe a bit more of a carnal desires, maybe a bitter feather.
Well, so I'm clearly upset about this, but I'm not going to pass up an opportunity for one of Bluster's famous brews. So I'm going to buy a round for everybody, and I'm going to tell them to finish it quick because we have to go over to meet the rest of the party at the Our Lady of
Aye, no problem. That's Bluster's gut puncher. That's four pints for everybody here.
When you turn around to give it to me, you notice that I'm not with you at all. I'm over by the piano picking out costumes from Jones's dress-up box. Tim, I would like you to tell me what I find.
Okay. Why don't you roll an investigation check for me, please?
19 plus 1, 20.
20.
Oh,
So with a 20, you find like a whole myriad of different costumes. Like digging deeper, you can find things for holidays that probably don't even really exist here anymore. So there's stuff in this chest that have been here for possibly hundreds of years. So there's like a woodland fairy costume that you find in there. There's, for some reason, like an Undertaker's outfit in there. There's a clown costume that you find in there.
No.
There's also all of like there's a winter festival one. There's an All Hallows Eve one. The regular ones as well.
I think. Oh, you've all frozen. Hold on.
Clown,
Are you okay?
isn't it?
Yeah, no, you're back. Sorry, you all froze me.
Cool.
I think one of the costumes I find is an old Easter bunny outfit, but it's like it's been in there for a long, long time, and like it looks horrific. One of the eyes has fallen out. All of the fur is like torn off, and I'm like, yep, that one, and I put it on.
So is it like a just like a wraparound job, or is it like a onesie?
It's like a full-on head. Like I put the head on, and then it's just a really, really, really crap like just a blanket basically as the body.
Like kind of like a poncho that you just slip over before you put the head on. Perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is very Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to deter Jones from playing his music. But yeah, he does look very audacious now.
Does that mean he likes it?
He doesn't seem to, like, especially with now the bunny head on, he doesn't seem to react in any kind of way.
Oh,
Takes it very much in his stride.
I'm like, oh, Jonesy.
Yeah. When you pat him on the shoulder, it's almost like a musical lilt to it, like running a hand over a xylophone. Right, so we'll go over to the two people going to the All Faiths Shrine. So it takes a little bit of exploration because you don't know the town very well, but eventually you get pointed gruffly in the direction of Our Lady of Anguish, the chapel. It's very modest. It is built half stone, half wattle and daub, like some of the other fancier buildings here. And when you get there, the exterior door is closed and there are no windows.
Okay.
Strange.
Cool.
And is there only? Do we know if that's the only door, or if there's another way in?
It's nestled between two other buildings, so there's no left or right to it. But when you go around the back, there is a secondary entrance. It's a much smaller, less ornate door that looks like to be either a servant's entrance or somewhere that they would use to take out the trash or like bring in supplies, etc. That too, a cursory push also seems to be locked.
Okay. So wait, did we circle to the back now?
Certainly Windy did.
Okay. So before I do anything, I'd like to go into my component pack, and I just want to tuck a small square of silk underneath the glove of my gauntlets.
Okay.
Just slide it underneath so it's not visible.
Sure.
Just pre-prepping, just in case. Cool. Then I would just like to walk up to the door and just give it a generous bang.
Okay. As you bang on the door, it does bow to your knocking, and rattle as well. It does sound like there may even be chains on the interior side of the door when you bang on it. And as you bang on it, you hear a very faint, "Go away!"
Mm,
Can we try to persuade them to open the door, or try to like figure out who's talking? I assume it's Father Mortis, but I don't want to assume.
yeah, I also assume it's Father Mortis.
It's up to you how you would like to persuade the person to open. You can frame your request in any way you see fit, and then roll a persuasion check if you'd like. How would you like to
go
engender
first?
yourself?
Yeah. So I think with him being a father and him probably being very like interested in the community, I think I should tell him there's an emergency outside. And it's not necessarily the full truth, but we're gonna try to persuade him and lie a little bit.
Okay.
Deception.
Yeah. Would you rather roll a deception?
Which one's better for you?
They're the same.
Yeah. So
okay.
roll a deception. Check.
Okay. 1
Plus
plus 3.
I said, "Go away."
All right. Father Mortis, I was hoping we could talk, one cleric to another. Would it be possible for you to come out here, or rather for us to come in? Oh, jeez.
Why don't you roll
Sorry.
a perception check for me, please?
Percepzione. Wait, perception plus 3. Okay, cool. That's gonna be a 17.
17.
Yeah.
Who are you? I don't recognize your voice.
I'm a friend of... Wait, what's Chris's family's last name again?
Lightwing.
Lightwing.
Mm-hmm.
Lightwing. Okay, cool. How am I going to phrase this? I'm a friend of the House of Lightwing's young son. I was hoping to discuss the matter of his mother's affliction.
I've tried treating her, but I can't get any further. People are dropping like flies out there. I'm not coming out.
So it's not just one.
No.
Might I ask you how many are affected?
Before I locked myself in here, it was 3. It could be more by now.
Okay.
Can we tell if he seems like shady at all, or if it seems like he's like off a little bit, like not telling the truth?
Yeah, absolutely. You can roll an insight check.
Yeah.
8 plus 2, 10.
So from what you gather, I mean, you don't really know his general demeanor, but you can hear like a quiver in his voice that he's trying to mask with hostility. He does seem genuinely concerned.
All right. Has anyone else come to this town, Father Mortis, aside from before the affliction began?
It's about that point that the rest of the group turn up behind you as you're quizzing Father Mortis. He does respond, though. He says,
Cool.
We've had a few traders come by, and but no one of note. No one I don't recognize the face of.
Can I cast my zone of truth to see if he's lying about anything?
Indeed, you can. However, I do believe you need to see where you're casting it to, and he's currently like conversing with you behind a locked door.
Okay.
So it might be a case that you have to like get face to face with him somehow.
And I wouldn't recommend wasting the spell slot anyways. I think from what we've gathered so far, the quiver in his voice, he's scared of something, so something is clearly wrong. So either there's something in this town, or one of those travelers did something and Chris's father went off to go find ex-trader at the town, wherever they're from.
I have thieves' tools, so I have a lockpick. So if you want, I can just try and open the door if we want to keep trying to get out of it.
I don't think we can because it's chained from the other side, so I don't
Okay,
you would open the door, but then the chains would still be holding it.
sure.
You can try. I mean, why not? If not, why not? Always check, never assume.
Yeah, if we want to give that a go,
Yeah,
want to try and
sure.
pick the lock, Meg?
Sure.
Yeah, roll for your thieves' tools. So roll a d20,
Yeah.
and then add your I'm going to say sleight of hand.
Okay, so 8 plus 4.
8 plus 4, 12. These are not particularly sophisticated locks. They're not made to withstand people with expertise locking ability. It's also supposed to be barricaded in any way, shape, or form. So with a 12, you do manage to find that satisfying click. The lock opens, and you push the door. The door opens about 6 inches, and then it gets stuck on a chain.
Chains.
I'm gonna try and put my bunny head through the door.
Oh god.
Be like, let us
Hello
in.
there.
Did you bring the bunny head? Oh, did you wear the bunny head?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, apologies. I thought you were dressing Jones up in the bunny outfit, but no, it was you. Okay. Yeah, disturbing. You kind of squeeze this paper mache style bunny head through the crack. It's difficult for you to see, but you know that the interior is very, very dark. It's lit only by a few candles, but you do see some movement about 10 or 20 feet further into the building.
You said the building's dark.
Yes, only lit by candlelight. Has no windows in this structure.
I'm just gonna say again, like, can you let us in? Or you just want to chat?
Why don't you roll a persuasion check?
Me?
Yeah.
9 plus 5.
So 14. The figure retreats further into the darkness and just shouts at you, "Go away. I don't know you. I don't trust you. You could be anyone."
I could be anyone, but I'm not anyone. I'm Meg, and I just want to know where my friends' family are.
You might say you're Meg, but I don't know who you really are.
Test me. I'll prove it.
I don't know you. I don't know how to test you.
Have you ever been to a circus before?
No, never been to a circus before. It's not my cup of tea.
I can show you some magic if you want. Then you might trust me.
I don't know how that would garner my trust, I'm afraid.
As he says that, I'm going to cast a minor illusion of myself next to where the shape is.
Okay. With minor illusion, you can cast a 5 by 5 foot cube. So you probably will have to, especially with the paper mache head on your head, like false head on your own head, you probably will have to crouch down slightly.
Okay.
But yeah, you magically cast it in front of them, and he starts freaking out. He backs away, knocks into a table. One or two of the candles gets knocked off its axis onto the table, and you see it catch something, and the table starts going up in flames.
See, now you should really let us in because we can put that fire out for you.
He desperately tries to. He grabs like a sack and starts beating the top of the table, trying to put the fire out, going, "Be gone, you devil! Be gone!"
I am. If I cast an unseen servant, can they do stuff for me?
Yes.
Simple tasks.
Yeah. Okay. Can I might not be able to do it, but I'm gonna cast an unseen servant, and then that servant is gonna get water and pour it over the fire.
So there is a central pool where people cast in their various artifacts and things to pray to all different types of faiths here. And so there is some standing water in there. And there are a few pots and vestibules that you can use to scoop up water with. I think the unseen servant can't carry a huge amount, but you can definitely offer some assistance.
Yeah,
which it does, which further freaks out Father Mortis as just a floating ceramic bowl moves past him and starts dousing the table of flames. But between the two of you, you do get it under control.
Between Door and Father Mortis, how far is he?
So he backed up a little bit more, so you think he's about 25 feet at this point away from the door.
Love it. Cool. So, I'm getting a little tired of the games. I would like to cast Command.
Okay.
So please have Father Mortis make a Wisdom save. The DC is 13, if you would.
He gets a 5 plus 2, so 7. So he fails. What is the command word?
The command word is approach.
Okay. He leaves what he was using to beat out the flames on the table, where it is, which starts to smoulder, but the unseen servant takes care of the rest of the flames. And he walks over to the front door.
Cool. So now that he's 5 feet away from me, how does he look?
Now he's approached some of the daylight that's spilling in from the spring day. You can see that he is wearing a fairly traditional but non-denominational robe, underneath which you can see the faint glints of chainmail. His hands and feet are bare. He's got like a very simple rope belt on, but his face is sunk and sallow.
There it is.
It doesn't look like he's been eating a lot either. You don't know if that's actually what he normally looks like, but that's his current condition. What would everybody else like to do in this point?
Yeah, because now I got him in front of us.
Yes.
Can I cast Charm Person?
You certainly can. So what's your save DC? So if you look on your actions, go to spells.
Yes.
Should be
He has to. I think it's 13.
13, cool.
Yeah.
What is his charm? All right, he rolls a 13, but he's got a -1 to his. So he fails.
Charming as ever.
Indeed.
So I would defer to the rest. I'm not very good at asking questions or interrogating. Very much just want to set the tone that he is now charmed for us to ask him questions.
And it will last for an hour. And so when he's charmed, he regards you all as friendly. So it's much more easier for you to sort of engage with him, get him to do what you want.
I would like to ask him if he knows why my dad left.
Well, the rumors I heard before I went before I boarded myself up in this place was that he was responsible, but I don't believe that at all. I think he has seen what's happened and gone to get help. Unfortunately, the nearest city is a good 14-day fly or walk.
Okay.
Can I reach out for his hands and ask him to remove the chains from the door so that we can come in?
Sure. You can roll a persuasion check with advantage.
Sure.
He seems
that,
to be
what have I missed?
We charmed him.
Sorry. Okay, cool.
Ooh, that's a 17.
17, yes.
Wow,
So
okay.
he goes, all right, I can see that you're here to help. So on this one instant, he moves back behind the door. You hear the clanking of chains in the lock, and it gets threaded through the eye hole, and the door gets pulled open. You can see more of the interior of the All Faiths. It definitely looks to be lived in the last few days. There are no windows in here, so it's very, very close. It's quite a musty smelling place now, smelling of someone that hasn't had access to a shower for 3 days, unfortunately.
It's like my living room.
Like all of our living rooms.
Nailed it.
Indeed.
Oh, gosh.
But he holds the door open for you all. If you all enter, he'll
All right, cool.
he'll put a latch down, but he won't re-chain the door.
Okay, cool. I like the sound of that. Awesome.
I haven't got much to offer you, I'm afraid, but I can offer you some water.
That's quite all right. We more than anything would like some information.
Yes. Well, like I said to Sal, your father.
Bluster said. I cut out there for a second. Bluster said that 3 people had been infected. So, outside of my mother, who were the other?
Hey, one of the farmers, believe his name was. Check my partially burnt scrolls over here. His name was Vernon Meyer, one of the wealthier farmers that was taken ill about 3 or 4 days after your mother. And then the last I heard, the day that I locked myself in here, one of the children also slipped into a coma.
Right.
Okay.
And you visited all of these except for the child?
The child was the last one I visited before I locked myself in here, realizing that there's nothing I could do to help them.
And are all these people still in town?
Last time I heard,
If you don't mind me asking, what have you tried?
so I'm unfortunately not a particularly powerful cleric, but I have tried some magical healing and whatever potions and salves I've got in the old Faith Chapel.
All right.
Do we think as a team it's worth visiting these other people or asking around town more?
Possibly. What I would like to know, just out of game here, what I'm curious in is the travelers. Because for me, the biggest hint dropped was the father has taken his traveling equipment specifically, not valuable possessions, traveling equipment. So he's looking for someone. 3 people have come to this town, 3 different merchants. So I'm willing to bet they're the answer, and the dad went looking for one of them. So what I would think is maybe let's go to each person who's been infected and maybe find out, did they come into contact with one of the 3?
And
Whoever's come into contact,
Yeah.
what did they buy
I was-
maybe as well? If it was food or something, maybe there's the problem.
I was going to say, I think we
Might-
should head to the bakery because if they've been traveling for a while, then they've probably had to stop for food and supplies.
Especially if that's like the town's most well-known export.
Mm.
But the thing is, we need to find which we can't track obviously all 3, and this is a one shot. We can't track all 3, so we need to find the one that's the most likely to be the suspect.
But weren't they together?
No, there was a troop of 2 merchants that came one day, and then 2 other individuals that came on subsequent days.
Okay,
Right.
so we can't get anything from your family because dad's missing. And it's just your mom. But the other 2 have family members we can question and be like, which of these 3 did you come into contact with? The minute multiple people have come into contact with one, there's our prime suspect. For now,
Yep.
that's where my mind is. I don't know what.
Well, Vernon hasn't got any family to speak of, but he does have a best friend called Tone Dillard. He was the one that found him after he wasn't going off to tend his farm after a day. The child is actually one of Millicent's children.
Oh,
So she's in the bakery.
well, there
So
you
we
go.
should go to the
2
bakery.
birds with one stone.
All right, bakery it is.
Is that,
One of the-
is that saying okay among your people?
What's that?
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone from the Aarakocra?
Ooh. Yes, is that acceptable, or is that a bit on the nose?
Eating,
Is that
eating
offensive?
2 worms with 1.
One beak.
Indeed.
Beautiful. So we unanimously agree, bakery, or anyone
Yeah.
else have something they would rather do in
Bakery.
between?
Bakery.
One other thing that Father Mortis might say, specifically to you, Sal, that you've been away for a few years, so you probably have seen the new trading post that's been set up. It's only been going for about 18 months.
I have not.
It's called Fancy Dan's Supplies.
Kind of want to meet Dan now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
But
sketchy
bakery
if I've ever heard.
So if there are any merchants, they may frequent Fancy Dan's Supplies to offload some of their wares.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to ask Millicent that when we get to.
Yeah.
So be careful out there.
Thank you, Father.
I'm going to try and salvage some of the notes that I was making on the table before it caught fire. I was trying to get a remedy working, but maybe set back a bit now.
Yeah. Sorry
We
about that.
apologize for that.
No, don't worry. You're all friends here. For
See, we are friends. Meg, remember my name.
Meg, I will always remember the name Meg,
Thank you.
especially after 1 hour when the spell is worn off.
Especially in 1 hour. He is not going to be happy.
Now, if you need my help again, just rap on my door.
All right. Thank you very much.
you.
Then let's
Okay.
go.
So he ushers you out, He'll close the door behind you, and then you hear the heavy chains being wrapped around the door once more.
Cool.
He's, what he'll also do is, before you leave, he presses into each one of your hands a small potion of healing, which is now on your character sheet.
Yeah.
So it's already on your character sheet, and everybody's got one potion of healing.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Refresh.
No worries.
Hell yeah.
So you can use it any time. It will restore 2d4 plus 2.
Yeah. I don't need to waste spells. Yay.
Use them for other things.
Wait, quick question as a DM. If I
Sure.
throw a potion of healing at someone, do they take damage? They heal?
They are in like glass vials, so for the liquid to
Before-
go in to be imbibed, they'd also maybe have to swallow a fair amount of glass at the same time, possibly offsetting the healing properties. But
Sorry,
you get lucky.
it's a joke in my group. Sorry,
All good.
I had to.
So where would you like to go next?
Bakery.
So yes, to Aunt Millicent's bakery.
Mhm.
As you approach, this windmill is a giant windmill. It dwarfs all other structures in Waldenbridge. It has a bakery on the lower level that serves the village, and then does export these famous scones. And in fact, inscribed in chalk on the exterior above the door is famous Aunt Millicent's lavender scones, available within. And then a very happy but crude drawing of a gnomish face.
Okay, so it's a gnome. All right. Cool.
The door is opened. When you take a quick glance inside, there is a cloud of flour, and then a rather rapid creature moving through it, like displacing the flour as she goes.
What?
Is that Millicent?
Sal would recognise this flurry of activity to be Millicent.
Yeah, and I think that she knows me, so like I'm all kind of at least I'm a little desperate now, so I'm gonna kind of like rush in and kind of yell and try to get her attention and get her to stop, and I'm getting a little frantic now because I kind of want to just know what's going on. So I'm gonna ask her sort of point blank, like, what's going on with your child? What do you know about this curse? What's up with my mother? Or like I'm just kind of like word vomiting out as before she can probably even acknowledge that.
She looks startled for a second, but regains her composure very, very quickly. She's very much like the matriarch of this bakery industry. That her husband works the mill itself, but she has a myriad of like family members that help her create these exquisite creations known as the lavender scones. And you can see underfoot as well even smaller versions of gnomes. So potentially like her children, possibly a grandchildren, even great-grandchildren. It's very difficult to ascertain exactly how old Aunt Millicent is. But yeah, it is a very well-oiled working machine. But yeah, she turns to you and goes, "Oh, dearie, I didn't know you were coming back so soon. How are you?"
I am okay. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. My mom is in a coma. My father is missing. Everyone in town seems to be off. And as much as I would love to catch up and shoot the breeze and eat one of your delicious scones, I kind of really just want to know what's going on.
Before you finish your sentence about not wanting to like really take the time or even indulge in the delicacies, she's given a few non-verbal commands to some of the family members that are whisking around, and by the time you finished your sentence, you find yourself already sitting in a stool, and you already have a lavender scone cupped into one wing.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're absentmindedly like raising it up to your beak and chewing on it as you abstain from even trying one of the scones.
Yeah, but I eat it like a bird, so
It's just all crumbs.
It's like anybody else eating a croissant.
Yep.
Just flaking everywhere.
Yep.
Hear me out. I know Millicent is like well known. This is a famous bakery, whatever. But how do we know the lavender scones aren't somewhat new and are the reason why people are falling into comas? And you're just eating this without even checking
Good
it.
question. I probably didn't think about that.
Poison check.
I mean, if you do want to investigate some of the crumbs that Sal has left upon the
Yeah,
stone
I've
tile floor.
already also eaten like at least 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, like, unbeknownst to the majority of you, like scones have been pressed into your like outstretched hand.
See, she's
All
forcing
right.
you to eat it. I'd like to check the crumbs.
Sure. So, who would like to do a medicine check to investigate them?
Well, I have a whole
I'm
scone.
good.
I haven't eaten mine.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Same.
All right.
I'm just going to take
I
mine
have-
graciously.
I have terrible medicine checks, so can I help someone do theirs?
You can definitely assist someone
I
for
have
sure.
a +3.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I also have a +3, but I'm not going to do a check.
Okay.
So if you'd like to
so
help
if you-
me,
Yeah. So we can have Windy and Papo roll medicine checks with advantage, with help from both Meg and Cece.
17, 18. I have 19 with my +2.
and I got
Nice.
a 20.
You can roll again.
Or 20.
You can
Cool.
roll again.
Oh,
because
roll
you've
again?
got
Take the
advantage.
highest
Yeah.
result.
15 on my die.
Cool.
Okay, so the other one was higher.
So a 20 and a 19, those are very good medicine checks, and you are certain that there doesn't seem to be any, like, there's no flavorings that seem to be off, just with some cursory glances. You may even have some supplies on you, possibly supplied to you by Cece, that you can like dip some of the crumbs into surreptitiously to see if it's like alkaline, acidic. Like, is it like turning any of these reagents an odd color that would denote poison? You give it a smell, you rub it on your fingers, it doesn't make your fingers stain or anything like that. No, they just seem to be delicious. But you have wasted 2 scones.
I'm glossy-eyed and just in heaven.
Yeah. These do taste exceptional. You don't think like lavender should go in a scone, but somehow she makes it work and work better than it really ought to be. There's some kind of gnomish magic that's being worked upon here. And as you look around the bakery, it's not an ordinary bakery. It would just be tabletops and some rudimentary measuring equipment and like vestibules that would contain eggs and flour, etc. There is like gnomish contraptions that has automated a lot of the more rudimentary like baking acts. So there is just like these cogs, these wooden cogs, and the steam-powered rolling devices that are rolling out pastry and stuff like that. So Millicent can really focus on like crafting her scones without having to worry about like all the sort of like redundant and more
Mundane.
exactly, mundane tasks.
Okay, now how are we going to phrase this? Delicate
While
question.
everyone is thinking carefully, I just go up to Millicent and say, "Hey, those cakes are really nice. Did you see anyone come through recently?"
Oh, other than your fresh faces, it's been relatively quiet.
Oh, really? We've seen loads of people on the road, so I just didn't know whether you'd seen any of them.
Well, there's been 2 sets of traders that they came in. One was about about a week ago, and the other one was a few days ago. They came on one came in the way in, and the other one on the way out.
Did they seem nice? Did they seem friendly? Did they talk to anybody? Did they talk to you? Did they talk to any of your children?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, aren't you just full
Go,
of
Meg.
questions? So the one that came after their visit stocked up on a lot of my lavender scones. It's a trader that I usually use to my wares around the local towns and villages. Take a cut from him. So that was a relatively innocuous trade. Nothing untoward. They stopped for a spot of tea and a scone as usual, and took about 5 dozens of my scones. Paid me in advance and moved on. The other trader, we only see him every like 6 or 7 months, and he came in purely for like a chinwag. I often have the best gossip around here, and he likes to talk to me about things.
What did you tell him?
Oh, well, that he came in around about the same day as poor old Sal's mother. The name that I have definitely know without having to check up on my little diary that I keep on my purse. Ventress Lightwing. Yes. Oh, sad business what happened to your mother there, Sal. But yes, so obviously we were talking about that, and like, had he heard about anyone else suffering from the same kind of ailment, which he hadn't. So that's about it, really.
Oh, what did he tell you?
Oh, well, he told me about, there's been some banditry on the road up towards the city. That's relatively innocuous. That usually happens quite often. What is it? Oh, his brother's sister left him and shacked up with the local sheriff in the nearby town. I know, scandalous. And other than that, there's been some political intrigue as well in the city nearby. Some shifting of power over there.
Do you think any of that that chaos over in the near town is going to impact you?
Oh, inevitably, like a shift in power always comes with maybe tax levies on our village. But they're. Oh my goodness, I've lost all of my names. Oh, here we go. Evenborough, Saffron Evenborough, the head of the village. She usually keeps a tight rein on things like that. They'll try and increase taxes, but she's having none of it.
Do you think any of them would want to hurt any of you?
Oh, no, I shouldn't think so. We're a relatively small village. We haven't really don't pose a threat. We're not particularly wealthy.
This traveller, I don't suppose you know who he went to see after he came to see you?
Oh, indeed I do. He was selling a bunch of pelts, and he went off to go to Fancy Dan's supplies.
Ah, Fancy Dan.
Yes, and the other duo that came here really just to stock up on my wares, but I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe checked in with a constable.
And target is found. All right.
I think we've enjoyed our scones. Maybe it's time we move on.
Find out how fancy these supplies really are.
Fancy Dens!
I before we leave, I talked to the smaller goblins that's running around and exchange, I don't know, a couple of silver for a bag of scones that I can take with me.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're
So
more than happy
good.
to sell you as many scones as you would like. They come to 5 copper pieces each, and you can buy as many as you'd like that you can fit into a sack.
I feel like since I'm very bad with money, I just give them a gold piece.
Okay. So that's you get 20 scones for a gold. And in fact, she'll round it up to 22 scones. For a bulk buy discount.
A baker's 22.
As it's known.
I'd go to just tip my head and say, thank you, you've been so lovely. I hope to see you again. And as I do, I just forget about the rabbit head and I just whack her on the head with my ear.
Before you come in contact with her head, with your paper mache head, with a deafness that belies her age and wisdom, she slips out of the way. And you just end up slightly headbutting the counter.
Oh,
Nothing to really like phase you or anything. It's just a very dull thunk as it reverberates in the paper mache head.
I just want to know. I want to ask her what the name of the traveler, the one that was from a week ago, what their name was, if she knows.
Oh yes, his name was Tandon Buckenridge.
All right. I think we've got a name.
We've got a name that's more than likely the suspect. I hope. All right, cool. So it's a fancy dance.
Fancy dance.
It's a fancy dance.
Take care. Be safe out there. And if you find anything, any cures or remedies or any information, if you could come back and tell me, because my poor little grandson is rather afflicted by this, and we have been unable to rouse him for the past 3 days. I'm quite worried about him.
It's all right. That's what we're trying to do.
Yep. Copy that.
Cool.
Cool.
You exit. Everybody's slightly powdered from the flurry of flour inside.
Like dusting off.
Yes. So like as Sal beats his wings, just a secondary cloud of flour catches the wind. So we will go off to Fancy Dan's. Now, Fancy Dan is a new place. It's opened up in one of the old Wattle and Daub cottages on the edge of town, on the north edge of town. And it has quite a fancy sign. Sal, you know that there is a sign maker in town. It looks very much like his handiwork. It says Fancy Dan's, and then there is an illustration of a myriad of different supplies that potentially is offered within.
Cool. So I think we'll just head in and kind of get the lay of the land.
Cool.
Yeah.
You walk into Fancy Dan's. It's a mixture of what looks to be a haberdashery, a cobbler. There's a barber's chair in one corner of the room as well. There also seems to double up as a dental chair, for there is not only combs, waxes, and scissors, there's also a hammer and chisel that would be used to extract teeth, a set of pliers, and like a half-made set of dentures. You also see a bunch of pelts hanging up on the wall. There is a general supply store as well, so there's like boxes and crates full of different types of supplies. There's like fishing equipment. There's netting, a whole myriad of different things.
Well,
Do we notice
what
anything
else?
off about the pelt?
I would like to actually go investigate the pelts, please.
Cool. So Kylie, sorry, you said something about pelts?
Oh, I was just saying he has the pelts, so we should
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
check them out.
Check.
So
yeah.
you focus on the pelts. When you walk in, there is presumably the proprietor, presumably Fancy Dan. He does not look particularly fancy. He's just wearing a very common cotton shirt and a pair of pantaloons.
Does he have a fancy mustache?
He does not. No, he seems to be like not clean shaven, but doesn't seem to be able to grow a very successful facial hair despite efforts.
All right.
He also
So
looks.
is me.
Also, he looks to be like quite thin, wiry fellow as well. It doesn't look like he sees a lot of sun either. And also, he doesn't react to when you come in. His head is in a book, a novel of some kind. His feet up are on a table. He doesn't notice your entry, despite there's 6 of you as you blunder in, start peering at these pelts. Now, the pelts, you don't need to do like any kind of check. They look to be relatively fresh and from like local creatures that you'd find in the area, like in the forests or on the fields and plains.
Okay.
Can we?
I will, in that case, since there's nothing out of the ordinary out of them, I will get Fancy Dan's attention and see if he can kind of, engage with us so I can ask him some questions.
As you, what do you say when you try and get his attention?
I just kind of give him an oi, just to kind of get his attention, and say, hey, we've got some questions about these pelts.
So as you exclaim the word oi, he nearly jumps out of his skin. The book goes over one shoulder and nearly pushes himself back off of his stool, but manages to just about right himself and pull himself back. He goes, pushes a small round glasses back up of his nose, tussles his mousy brown hair and goes, I do apologise. I didn't expect to see anybody today. He caught me halfway through one of my novels, which he uses his foot just to kind of push underneath one of the shelves. And if anybody's interested, you can try and look at the title as he tries to hide it.
That's fine.
I'm
I
interested.
think you can kind of guess.
You could probably make an educated guess. But if you want any
Yeah.
specifics, you're more than happy to roll a perception check.
Kakashi.
He goes, I presume you're all new in town. And any of your faces, are you looking for fishing supplies, maybe, or some objet d'art, or how about this rather fancy net if you're looking to trap something in the wilderness, as it were, or I don't know, maybe we could offer you some of these fine pelts that only just came in about a week ago. They're very fine pelts, great for sleeping upon.
I'll volunteer the information that I actually grew up, but I've never met him because he kind of came into town. I think he said 18 months ago before I was last here. So I'll tell him like who I am and where I'm from and I mean I'm sure he probably knows about what's going on in the town and what's going on with my mother. So I kind of want to just see if he knows anything about what's been going on or if he can shed any light, like what's his take on what's happening in the town.
Oh, my goodness! I didn't realize that you were the son of the lovely Lightwings. And he awkwardly reaches out and tries to shake a wing. Just kind of just grabs the top of your wing and just motions it up and down weakly. Says, well, yes, it's a terrible business. I don't really know what is going on. I tend to just go with the general consensus of the town in general. I'm quite new here, so I don't really want to rock the boat or make any enemies or things like that.
Can I slip him a scone to calm him down?
Sure. Yes, he seems to have this very nervous energy.
Yeah.
As you place a scone on the side. He's it's not really so much of a bartering. I kind of might have to insist on they're more of like a gold for supply.
Oh, I go.
Okay. Just kind of tussle his mousy hair, and he goes, "Thank you." Breaks off a token piece of the scone and almost reticently places it in his mouth and gulps it down. Almost like he doesn't really want to eat it, just as a sign of good faith.
We're scaring everyone we come across.
I mean, I could sell you anything you want, and I might be able to help you, or I could try and give you any information. I don't know what you already know.
We're looking for someone.
A
merchant that passed through here a week ago. Tandon Buckenridge, I believe his name.
Oh, yes, yeah, the trapper. He brought in these rather fancy pelts. Yes, indeed. Yes, I imagine he's probably out either getting more pelts, doing more, manly trapping and hunting like people of the plains would do. Not really my kind of forte, I'm afraid. More of a homebody type of person myself. But no, lovely. Sorry, what was the question?
Can you tell us where he is? Anything about him?
Oh, of course, yes. No, absolutely. Yeah, he's probably out, as I said, maybe trapping some beasts or selling them to some of the other villages for a slightly higher price. People paying for things. I've already got some pelts. So I'm probably not really interested in buying any more for a little while. It's supply and demand, so they wouldn't really be interested in buying any more pelts or furs or anything for a little while. But he knows this. He's quite an astute man.
I am interested in buying one of these pelts, but I would like to hear some reviews first. So can you let me know who bought some from you so I can ask them about them?
Well, we do employ... I'm trying to get a new initiative going in Walden Ridge to maybe give any newcomers and any existing merchants a good kind of grounding about various services that can be provided here. I like to call it Yelp. So what happens is you can ask anybody in town and they will yell at you whether you should buy at this place or not.
Fantasy Yelp.
So you can just knock on a door and say, would you recommend Fancy Dan's as a good place to buy pelts? And they'll probably yell back at you, either get off my lawn or yes.
Can you tell me who to ask specifically though? Because I'm in a rush and I don't have time to get everybody.
Oh no, of course not. Sorry. So do you want to know if it's of high quality? I believe the head of the village. Yes, she bought a pelt not a few days ago for her office to keep her feet warm. She seems to be quite, happy with this. Had no bad. She hasn't yelled at me badly, so that's a positive Yelp review, I think.
Is she the only one?
Yes, I have the rest of the, things here for you to buy.
Do you know where the trapper would be trapping? Is he kind of close by where we could go? Should we,
Potentially, yes. I think probably either the head of the village or the constable, they would have more knowledge of their comings and goings. People that do business in the town, still relatively new, don't want to rock any boats, so try not to ask too many invasive questions of the people that provide me a service here. Not wanting to put them off, making them go to other places. Want to keep that Yelp review high. Want to push everybody shouting about how good Fancy Dan's is. Oh, I completely forgot to introduce myself. Myself is Arnold Dunderton.
So you're not Dan.
No, I don't know who Dan is.
So you work at Fancy Dan's, but you don't know who Dan is. That's
No,
why
I've
you're
never.
not fancy.
No, I'm neither Fancy nor Dan, I'm afraid. We do have supplies though.
So how did you get hired here?
Oh no, it's my own business.
He owns it.
So you own it.
So Dan is like a character. He's like the Ronald McDonald.
Right.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, there was a bit of miscommunication with the elderly signwriter in town, and I think he misheard my name and what the business was about, and wrote Fancy Dan and not Arnold Supplies. But I didn't really have the heart to tell him it was wrong, and didn't again want to rock any boats. So here we are, I guess.
Listen, branding is everything.
Yeah, he honestly did you a favor.
I guess so.
It's all right. Cecilia von Gallagher, it's a pleasure to meet you.
And you too. Thank you.
All right, gang. So do we think that we should go check the office?
Only thing is now I'm not
Yeah, we
sure.
should probably go talk to Saffron.
Now I don't know if we're following the wrong guy now. Because all the pelts are here. Only one was sold to the head of the village. So now I don't know if it's the guy.
Has anyone done an investigation check on the pelts?
Yeah, well, Tim's... I said I wanted to, and then Tim, you were like, no need.
Oh, if you want to do like a more thorough investigation of like maybe there's something untoward or surreptitious about them.
Or maybe an Arcana check?
Yeah, you can do any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do an Arcana check.
Investigation. Someone want to do medicine? Arcana, medicine, investigation. Cover all bases.
I got a nat 20 for my Arcana check.
Nice.
Nice. Let me
Try
check
the medicine.
investigation. I got an 11 on medicine, investigation, so that's not
Okay.
going to be too high.
Does anybody want to help
Medicine.
out with medicine?
I'll help.
I can help.
Oh,
There
wait.
you go. Either one of you can. It's fine. You can both help if you wish to. There's no problem at all. Yeah. So Sean, you can roll with advantage.
That is a 16 total.
16. So we've got 11, 16, and 20, or a natural 20. Although, you could probably add that to your Arcana bonus as well on your character sheet.
Yeah, I have the +3, so it's a 23.
Nice. So investigation first. With an 11, definitely you can corroborate that they have been killed over the matter of about 2 weeks. So probably he's like dried it out, kept a few of the older ones, built up a stock, and then come to sell them. There doesn't look anything surreptitious about the pelts themselves. They're not from like a bizarre creature that you've never heard or seen of before, nor are they lined or laced with anything. With a medicine check next. Yes, they don't seem to be infused with any poison, nor are there like any spines or spindles or anything that would sort of poison or inject venom into a person either. It doesn't look to be tampered or treated with anything either. It doesn't look like there's been something that's coated on them. Running your hands back and forth over some of the furs, there's no barbs or anything, nothing laced in between. And with the 23 Arcana, you are 100% sure that they are neither used in any kind of like magical ritual, nor have they been inscribed with any like runes or magical arcane hieroglyphs. So I think between the three of you, you're all 100% positive that these are just normal natural pelts.
As we're finding this out, Wendy is creating a song about tossing a coin to Fancy Dan because I'm getting bored looking for what's going on, and so I am the center of attention because I like to perform. So I will be singing as we continue this journey.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm surprised that a bunch of circus performers and staff are having trouble solving a mystery.
I'm Fancy Dan.
I mean, I can offer you one of the furs. You seem to be quite interested. Knockdown price of 2 gold. That's
Listen,
that.
I'm writing a song about this place. I think you can knock it down a little further.
I see you're well versed in the ancient art of haggling. So why don't you roll a persuasion check for?
Yes.
Is it a 1?
All right, I got a 2 plus 3, 5.
All right, you're moving up at least. You're trending up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's an upward curve. But into this, it'd be nothing but 20s. So he's like, I've been burnt once before with advertising and it not really going the way that I thought it was. Also not sure really how much I should be leaning into being called Fancy Dan. I was kind of hoping to wait for the sign writer to maybe move away, if you know what I mean. And then I maybe can change the sign back to my name.
Coma too, Dan?
I don't put him in a coma, but like I say, move away. He's quite elderly, and I don't want to hurt his feelings, but he's quite old.
Just so you know, I've already forgotten your real name, and I will remember Fancy Dan for the rest of my life.
This is what I'm talking about.
Same.
Same, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Own it.
What's your real name again? I forgot.
It's like Arnold Frank
It's
or
Arnold
Abernathy Jones,
Dundleton.
something.
Yes, my name's Arnold Dundleton, a reliable old Arnie.
Sorry,
Should've stuck
Fancy
with
Dan
Fancy.
just catch you. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's reliable young Arnie. I guess.
Dan. It's like a very strong, like one syllable. Like, it's just very gets to the point. Fancy Dan.
Yeah.
I start wandering off.
So, I mean, can I interest you with the pelts for the discount knockdown price of 2 gold? That does include an inherent local discount because obviously Sal is a former grew up here, so I've already knocked that down from the usual 3 gold to 2 gold.
You have
Absolute
a
steal.
locals discount when you're just a local store, so everyone in town gets a discount.
Yeah, again, not really great at marketing or
Business.
kind of new to this whole thing.
Right.
My father was a watchmaker.
Arnie, I'll go ahead and take a pelt. It'll help me with my singing. I'll be able to feel the pelt, smell the pelt. It'll help with my songwriting.
Lovely.
Well, if she sleeps on it, we can test the theory that puts people in a comas.
No, I mean, I basically risk my life every day at the carnival. What's sleeping on a pelt?
You know what? Fair.
Maybe you could wrap it around yourself and the knives won't get to your flesh.
Hey.
Unless the pelt gets to me first, then I die.
I'm
Well, no one's
confident.
died yet.
Yes,
No one's died yet, so.
I'm quite confident in offering everybody here a no coma deal with anything they buy at Fancy Dan Supplies. Guaranteed no coma.
Do you have paperwork on that to prove that this is a real...
No coma pelt.
Certified pelt.
Yeah,
He
is
saw-
there signage?
He looks around, like his eyes just dart around manically, and goes, "Sure, one second." And he
Can I get
dives
someone to
underneath.
witness this?
He dives underneath the counter, and you just hear furious scribbling. And then he brings up a piece of parchment with still wet ink that says, "I, Arnold Dunderton of Fancy Dan Supply Emporium Incorporated, can guarantee every item listed within, sold by the proprietor, will not induce coma or coma-related afflictions."
All right.
Love to see it.
See, he had asked the sign maker to make him signs, but they all ended up saying Fancy Dan.
Yes.
All right, Arnie, here's your gold. I'm removing it from my...
Okay. You can add 1 large pelt to your memory. You don't really have to add it to your character sheet if you wish to.
Quick
All right,
question.
gang. Should we go check out the
Well, we
Sure,
might as well go to the village head, yeah.
Cool.
Only
So
option, I guess.
Yeah, you want to go to village head Saffron Eveborough. You know that she operates out of her own house. It's a townhouse not too similar to Sal's in construction and size, and she has the office on the ground floor, which she shares with Constable Orzo. So the 2 things you might need to know about Saffron and Orzo. Saffron is a half-elf village head. She's been the head of the village for 80 plus years. There is a town vote every year about about who should be head village, and she unanimously wins every single time. Whether that is a testament to like how good she is at managing the village, or just because nobody else wants the job, is up for debate. And Constable Orzo, he's the only law enforcement individual in the entire village, and he is a gold dragonborn.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so you can go off. Sorry, the entire party, does that want to go to Saffron's together as an ensemble?
Yeah.
Cool.
Suddenly, I very much want rice.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't even think about that when I was creating that name. Yes.
All right.
As you bust in to, well, do you have a? Oh, actually, well, you tell me. How do you wish to enter? The place is the door is closed, mostly to exclude either the heat or the draft or the noise from the town
Sure.
or the village.
I mean, I again, like kind of how we've been approaching all these situations. Like, I grew up there, so I mean, I would know Saffron, like especially if she's been the town, running the town for 80 plus years. So I'm gonna kind of lean on that and say hello, a nice hello, like what the hell is going on?
Cool. You open the door. The scene that there's always been a bit of constellation between the two, a bit of butting, but the scene that you walk in on when you go into the office is both Constable Orzo and Saffron are fighting over desk space. Like Constable Orzo is just placing down haphazardly a lot of his documentation and like constable equipment, and Saffron is just being quite passive aggressive with the whole thing and just pushing it off to one side. They're constantly having this to and fro between like her accusing him of being a slob, he's accusing her of being too uptight, and then they're like almost coming to like verbal blows.
So I'm gonna kind of just like get in the middle of them and say, like, hey, there's more important things going. People in your town are sick, in comas. Spooky things are happening. Nobody can give us a straight answer. The scones are delicious.
I appeared from behind
not
Sal
even
and just
fancy Dan. Like, what the hell is happening?
So Orzo's the first one to react to this, and he turns to you, Sal. It goes, "It's all her fault. She's been putting her things on my side of the desk again. It's getting worse."
How is that putting my mother into a...
I don't know, but she's got something to do about it. And he just puts a gold-clawed finger in her face. He goes, "I made no bones about it. She's responsible here. She's done nothing about it."
I'm gonna summon my mage's hand, and it's just gonna go up to the desk and sweep everything off of both of them. And I'm just gonna go, "People are dying."
Get your heads together.
At this point, Saffron steeples her fingers. She remains seated this entire time. And goes, "I have to correct you on that point. So far, nobody has died under my watch, lest it be of natural causes or their own foolish behaviour. But these comatose patients, comatose though they may be, are still relatively safe.
Why are they
And will
still...
remain so under my watch."
How do you know that?
Well, they're being tended to. I have prescribed each individual a person that is of good and decent repute in the village to tend to them every single day. I have a 5-point plan of success in this village where they will have a level of care that is dependent on their status and critical care condition. Everything is in hand, except for this big lummox over here that keeps telling me how to run my town. And also just scoffs at this. And pushes past you and just storms outside.
Well, she seemed mad.
As usual, the Dragonborn can't take the heat.
Do you have any idea as to what's causing the comas? If you're, if you're helping them.
We have tried to ascertain what the condition is, where it's stemmed from, but we cannot establish the cause or the reason why. That no medical care seems to be forthcoming or effective in this instance. However, life is still going on. I feel that next election that will stand in my good stead, and I will no doubt be re-elected once again.
Just a quick question. You said you had one person dedicated to each sick patient?
Indeed.
So when we were at Sale's mother's in her bedroom checking on her, we noticed that there was a lot of people who would come in and out. Do you know who else may have been in that room if you were saying you only have one person in there?
Yes, I imagine that her being the first patient, the first person to succumb to this ailment, that we have had a lot of investigation at the beginning. Constable Orzo himself was there, I was there, Father Mortis was there as well, and a few other key members of the village were present, which could probably account for the multiple disturbances in their house. Apologies, Sal, we didn't really mean to intrude on your private property, but these things had to be sorted out, especially with the disappearance of your father, Hartigan.
No harm, no foul, but if we don't for this soon, I'm going to start punching things.
Indeed. I mean, you could start with the constable, if you wish. He could do with a swift punch to the head, I think. Loosen some of those few brain cells he has left.
Another sick burn.
All right, but all I'm hearing is arguing and no solutions. Might we hear one of those?
As I say, the investigation is ongoing, but the solution has not presented itself. Still working on this 5-point plan of effective response to this ailment. I think you'll agree the whole town is pulling together as one cohesive community, and I think that me leading them into the next year of 1464, the year of Saffron again, the 81st year in a row of me running the town, I think you'll agree. Great job. Top job.
So this may have been answered earlier, and I apologize that I missed it. But was there any evidence of pelts in Sale's mother's room when you went to go check on her initially?
Pelts in... let me just check my notes. And she reaches into a desk and flips open a ledger to what looks to be like a daily diary almost of points. She flicks back about 7 or 8 days and reads down the list. It's quite an exhaustive one on that particular day. And she says... you can check with the constable, but no, the log that we made when we were investigating this coma patient didn't reveal any untoward pelts or pelts that do not belong.
Was there anything in the room that looked like it did?
Yes, in fact, we have confiscated a few items that we believe were of suspicious nature.
What were they?
There were some food items left there that we have tested for poison. The tests came back negative, but they have since obviously degraded. There was a knife that we found on scene, but as she suffered no wounds, that was also discounted fairly quickly. And there was some thread, some cotton thread, that didn't seem to match any of the clothing that anybody was wearing, either Hartigan or Ventress, or Sal indeed. It didn't seem to be matching any of your clothes you'd left there, or any of the fabrics around the house.
What did you do with this thread?
It's in the evidence locker behind me. And she just points to like a locked door behind her.
Can we see it?
Sure, I don't really see why not. Maybe Sal, you can perhaps shed some light. Maybe this is some thread that you do recognise and that should have been there originally. Or maybe it's something you do not, and you can categorically say that this does not belong in your home.
Sure. So do I need to make an investigation check on said thread, or can I just kind of like know that?
Yeah, when she produces the 3 items, there's like a little wax brown paper envelope that holds the mouldy crumbs. There is what looks to be just a normal kitchen knife, and then this red cotton wool thread. And yeah, you can see that this, like, it's so vibrant and identifiable. Your family, it doesn't match anything that they would wear. As an Aarakocra, you have very specific clothing needs, and that does not match up with like your family's vibe, their attire that they would wear. Certainly not one of your clothes.
Wool's not really good for.
Well, I guess this could be a clue then.
Do we know anything about the trader that came through town? I mean, I know you mentioned some looms as we came into town. Like, is kind of like manufacturer's thread for the town? You know, is there kind of like one specific textile manufacturer?
So you would know. That having to ask is that a lot of people that live here have their own looms in their own homes, and they can make rudimentary things. They can make like shawls or, something to warm up. Some people are more adept and can make better looking clothing. Some people even sort of experiment with different fabrics and dyes. Most people will just use like the wool as is and just make simple clothes. But this does look like it's like done to quite a high degree of experience, and it doesn't look like anybody could probably produce this in town. There only would be like a handful of people that can make it.
Okay.
Did you ever meet Tandon Buckenridge, who came through recently?
I saw him around town, but no, we didn't actually engage in conversation.
Can you remember what he was wearing?
Off the top of my head, he was wearing a brown flat cap, a green trapper's vest, brown pantaloons, some walking boots, a white cotton shirt, brown leather belt. He had a Hessian sack that he was bringing his furs in, and a travelling backpack as well that had his roll-up, his bedspread and tent and so forth in.
And does this thread match any of what he had with him?
No, but no, he wasn't wearing anything red. He had no like scarves or jumpers.
What was Arnold wearing?
Arnold was very, very simply dressed, so like belying the fancy damn nomenclature that you seem to have garnered. He was just wearing a very simple brown vest and pantaloons.
And then who is it? The Father Mortis.
Oh, yes, he was wearing chainmail and a very simple sort of black, dark grey robe with a rope belt.
Okay.
Have you seen anyone wearing this sort of clothing? This red?
There's only a few people that would be wearing something so ostentatious, or could manufacture something so ostentatious. I think one of them would be Old Lady Corrin that lives out in nearby fields.
Old Lady Corrin.
Yes.
All right. I mean, when we were talking victims and things, you mentioned, or it was mentioned to us that one of the farmers, Vernon Myers, had come down with the same affliction, and he was known to be a man of means. Was there anything that we could have, like, would he kind of walk around town in some ostentatious clothing, kind of like that?
I mean, he, again, would be one of the only few people in this town that would be able to afford such a fancy attire or high-quality wool or cotton. So potentially there could be some in his house. We did investigate there, and there were a few items, quite lavish items.
All right. Could any of the those items had been,
Sorry, you broke up there again, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, could this thread have come?
Broke up again.
Sorry, it happened again. We got could any of this thread come, and then that was about it.
Yeah, I could this thread have come from any of
Again, on the same line.
Exactly the same point as before.
Wow. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
All right.
Can you say
All
that
right.
one part?
Could that thread have come from any of his items?
Ah, right.
There we go.
I mean, potentially, yes. We didn't go into as much investigation as matching thread with any of the items in his domicile, but potentially, yes. Constable Orzo, after the first person that kind of came down with this, was leading all the investigations, so I guess he would be the better person to talk to if you really want to. If you can stand that oafish man.
Yeah, let's talk to him because we gotta get some information. So we'll go outside and we'll talk to the constable and we'll just kind of let him know, like, hey, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. What else can you tell us before we go and visit either Old Lady Corin about this thread or maybe even Bernard Myers to kind of see what's going on?
Yes, absolutely. And I assume that if you're around by next election, count on your vote.
Oh, absolutely not.
Sure.
Oh.
Great. Good to hear.
Before we leave, can I just check if Sal recognizes the knife that they found?
Yeah, that was just a standard kitchen knife that he would find in his own home. He was just confiscated because it's like weird. Not weird, but suspicious to have in like the bedroom. But you know that your mother and father used to just eat cheese in bed. So they would bring a cheese knife to bed and just chow down. So if you exit the house, you will see Orzo, Constable Orzo, just pacing back and forth in the main street of the town, mumbling under his breath, just kicking the mud as he does.
Listen, if you tell us everything that you know and help us get to the bottom of this, we 6 additional votes, and that could swing the election in your favor because the town is not that.
Yeah, it'll be great to get her out of power finally. She's got some backward ideas. What do you want to know?
I mean, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. You know, she had said that Old Lady Corin could have been the person who helped manufacture this thread. It might belong to another one of the victims, Bernard Myers. We're just trying to figure out who's responsible and you know, hopefully save.
Sorry, you cut out there again, Chris.
Yeah, just trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, cool. I got the gist. Says, yeah, absolutely. If you show me the cotton thread, I can try and correlate it. Remember all the different things I saw in my investigation. That kind of stuff.
I hand him a scone.
Okay. Yeah, he'll pluck it out of your hand, and just in one giant bite of his dragon-like mouth, just swallows the whole thing down. Do you offer him the red bullet thread?
I'll hand him the thread.
Yeah. He takes out like a jeweler's eyeglass from one of the pouches in his belt, pops it into one eye, and peers intently at the wall. He goes, "Oh yeah, I remember finding this at your mam's house. I don't remember anything being this vibrant red in Baron's house, but Corin's known to dabble in dye. Wouldn't be surprised if she made something this vibrant and colourful.
Okay.
We didn't really think about it before because she's very elderly and very sweet."
Yeah, so guys, I mean, I think that we should all head over there and question her, right? Because if she is not the suspect, then at the very least she can tell us who she made.
Yeah.
So you know that Corin lives on the outskirts of town, near some of the farms. It's a little bit further out, a little bit isolated. She lives alone. Her full name is Corin Ostiger, an elderly lady that lives on the outskirts. She rarely only comes into village to top up supplies. She also is, despite being very sweet, she does spread a lot of rumours about town. and you wouldn't be surprised if like she's got her own opinions about what's happening in town.
Cool.
So you trudge over there. It's a very small, cozy cottage. There's a large herb garden on the outside. It's brightly painted. You see black smoke curling out from the chimney, and you can smell something quite delicious being cooked inside. There are small, round windows, 2 of them either side of the door, and the door itself is slightly ajar.
Slightly ajar. Do we let ourselves in?
I think we should.
Can I make a perception check before we go in?
Certainly can.
All right. That's going to be a 7.
Cool. What is there anything specific that you're looking for?
I mean, just like you mentioned that doors were kind of ajar in this town, or doors were unlocked in this town for the most part. But I'm just trying to see if there's any danger about, or if anything seems suspicious, or maybe even any kinds of signs of force damage.
Sure. You peer through the door, crack in the door, and as you do, you see an elderly woman hunched over, a shawl around her shoulders, stirring a giant cauldron over the fire in the hearth of the cottage. There is a small round wooden table set in the middle. There's a bed off to one side. There's a place to cut and chop and prepare food. There's some washing hanging in the interior over the hearth. There's a myriad of objets d'art in here, including stuff like old bone china that's on shelves. And you haven't really been in Old Lady Corrin's house much. She's kind of keeps herself to herself. And if you do see her, she's usually out of a house in town, spreading around rumors and stuff and gossiping and that kind of business. But she does love making food. Making food. Well, yeah, she does like making food, but she also likes making clothes for the townsfolk as well. And you see the loom in one corner and a half-made. You're not quite sure what it is. Maybe it's a scarf, maybe it's a shawl or a towel or something, but it has got this red cotton thread on it.
Wow.
That's what you see with your 17 perception.
All right.
I'm kind of letting my nose lead me around the kitchen. So, like, I'm kind of hovering over whatever cutting board is cooking.
Oh, so if you want to enter. So far, Sal just like peeked his head in, but you can absolutely like just barge in and start like helping yourself to the kitchen if you so wish.
I kind of just walk in and I'm quiet, though very large. But my nose is just, I'm following my nose.
Cool. Are you trying to be stealthy or are you just naturally stealthy?
I don't think I'm trying to be stealthy. I think I'm just walking in.
Okay. You walk into the kitchen. You start like looking at some of the half-cut vegetables, some of the meat products that are on the table yet to be cooked and prepared. As you're looking around, probably the rest of you would see Old Lady Corrin sidles over next to Drew and places like a withered old liver-spotted hand on the Furbog's hand as it comes close to the knife. It says, "Oh, I didn't hear you enter, dearie. What are you doing here? Never seen you before. You wouldn't rob an old lady, an old defensive lady like myself, would you, dearie?"
I hand her a scone.
Oh, that's very kind of you. It takes the scone and sets it carefully on a bone china plate off to one side.
I don't trust this lady.
You don't say, guys.
I think we all know what's going to happen to this one.
Oh, there's so many of you. Please come in. I don't have quite enough chairs for everybody, but the smaller of you can use the old chairs that my husband used to that made for me, and a couple of you can take a seat on my bed. I'm just cooking something up in this stew here. I interview.
What are you cooking, huh?
Yeah, can I smell what the ingredients are?
Oh my word! This bald lady.
Do a nature check for me, please.
What's cooking?
Ooh, That is not great. It's a 4.
I would also like you to do a wisdom saving throw for me.
Oh dear.
You don't have to read into that.
Oh, I got a 20 on that one.
Okay.
Oh, Kylie's happy. She got good.
Plus
She got some-
3, so it's a 23.
So you don't necessarily smell anything before you see it, and as you take the ladle and just move it around a little bit, you just see like a small carcass of a vermin break the surface, and then an eyeball, and then and then when you bring the ladle out, it's got like what looks like seaweed, but it's red. And there's a small bone in the ladle as well. And you're like, and what once looked like a tasty stew is now smelling quite acrid and bubbling with like a yellowy green effervescence on the surface.
I'm fully regretting giving her my scone.
That's dead rat gumbo.
Oh, and as you look back at forlornly at the scone, where she's touched it with her fingers, it rotted very, very quickly, turned black. Like there's 3 fingerprints on it, which have gone black and
I
molded.
fully regret. That's such a waste of a scone.
Defenseless old woman.
All right, guys,
Y'all
let's
just
start
had
the
a witch
punching.
living in town this whole time? Come on.
All right,
But off the back of this, I think I need everybody else to do wisdom saving throws.
All right.
Okay. Oh, hell yeah.
18.
Clerics with that beautiful wisdom.
Indeed.
Luckily, I rolled a 19 because my was 1, so
Oh,
18.
Cool.
You still beat me. I only got 18. You still
Okay.
beat me. I'm a +5 to wisdom and
So if you just bear with me for a second, I'll just pull up the saving throw here. So it'll be saving throw is 14. So
Yes, I got it.
Robbie, what did you get?
18.
18. You're good. Ree, what did you get? Oh no, you've already done yours. Doesn't matter.
yes.
Sorry. Sean, what did you get?
I got a 12.
12. Okay. Chris, what did you get?
18.
18. You're good. Ellie
18.
and Kylie.
14.
So Sean's the only one that you still smell the stew being like bubbling in the hearth. It smells like really, really good
Looks
as well.
great, guys.
Like
Actually,
your
can
mouth.
can I try some?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah,
Delicious.
no problem. The
Beautiful.
ladle's in there. It's ready to be tried. No one's going to stop you.
I might, as the Fearbog, like put my hand over Papo's hand and just push it back down.
So
Free
you, it
stew,
seems-
though. It's hard to say no to free stew.
yeah, when you pull, so Sean, when you pull it out, there's like hearty chunks of like sweet potato, and there is like a fresh green vegetable. There's like a really nice leg, like shank of lamb, a portion of that that's just falling apart at the bone, and it just the smell like your mouth is just watering. Ree, when Drew like puts her hand on it, it's just like a black mold that's like clinging to the exterior of the ladle, and there's just a finger with the finger bone poking out, and the nails like come off and just floating on top of the stew. But you just
what
push it
spell
back
does
down.
the most damage?
Does Kron, whatever her
Corin.
name? Yes,
Yeah.
Corin.
Yeah.
Does Corin know that we can see that it's not good soup?
Unless you, she doesn't know instinctively that you've seen through an illusion.
Okay.
She doesn't know instinctively about it, but your reactions may tip her off.
No, okay. I have a question for you, Corin. Do you
Oh,
often
yes, dearie.
feed the villagers the soup? It smells so lovely.
Sometimes when the parents go out to the fields to work, the children come by, and I will feed them like some hearty stew to get through the day. Then in the evening time, when the workers are passing by my cottage, sometimes I too will offer them a free bowl of stew, and they have never turned it down.
Interesting.
Who did you last give it to?
Some children came by, not this morning.
Aww.
Did you happen to give any to Cyril's mom? I don't remember your mom's name.
Oh, Ventress.
Yeah.
The stew doesn't really kind of like there's a physical like incompatibility with eating stew, and an Aarakocra's nose. I don't want to cast aspersions, but long story short, no, they didn't really partake, I'm afraid.
Did you speak to her recently?
No, I haven't seen her for weeks upon weeks. Why don't you roll an insight check for me, please?
Okay, so creepy old lady that makes disgusting stuff look like good stuff, but absolutely nothing to do with the case. Okay, cool. Do we want to kill her just because she's creepy? I mean, I'm down.
We're definitely killing her, either way.
She's going down. I'm writing a song about this as we speak.
Okay.
I got an
Let
18.
your heart-
18.
Your pen fly, bard.
You definitely think that she's not lying about. Well, with an 18, she's not lying about not feeding the stew to Ventress, Sal's mum. But you do think she is lying about seeing Ventress recently.
Okay. Can I do something then? If is it my turn? Can I do something?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're all not in initiative yet, so people can do what they want when they want.
Yet.
I have a spell called Zone of Truth.
Sure.
Can I use it on her to try and figure out when the last time she saw Sal's mother is?
Absolutely, you can. Yes.
Yeah, Kylie, do it.
All right, I cast it.
Okay, I believe there is a saving throw on their behalf. So
Charisma, yes.
That's charisma saving throw. Okay, dokie. The Zone of Truth.
Kylie, what's your save DC?
I'm so sorry, you broke up a little bit. What?
What's the save for it for Tim?
So
click the spell, and it's got save.
Hold on. Oops. How do I find this out?
Click the name of the spell,
Oh, got it.
and the save is.
Oh, Charisma 13?
13, okay.
So do I roll then?
No, she has a
it's,
save. So with the spell, I believe you know if they have saved or not. So the affected creature is aware of the spell and can avoid answering questions. On a failed save, the creature... You know whether each creature succeeds or failed. You know that this old lady is surprisingly resistant to your spell and has not succumbed to the Zone of Truth.
Oh dear.
Does she know that Kylie cast it?
Yes.
Great.
Oh my goodness, you're such exotic and powerful people, and no wonder you didn't want any of my stew. I guess something more exquisite is required for people of your repute. Let me just see what I've got in the larder. And she just shuffles off. Like she's quite a little bit hunched, pulls a shirt all over her shoulder. She starts shuffling off to the larder next to the hearth.
I sit down at the table, excited for whatever she's going to bring out. That stew looks good. What could be coming out of the larder?
You've already tied like a neckerchief around your neck, and you've got the knife and fork in your hand.
Let's do this.
As she is walking away, I'm just going to throw 2 daggers at her.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
No, I was getting ready to jump in too.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, everybody needs to roll.
I was going to cast command and just tell her to come back, but all right, this works.
So with initiative, you roll the d20 as usual, and then you should have an initiative modifier at the top middle of your page, your character sheet.
The fact that I can show you my initiative is bad.
Indeed. So I'll go from top down on the combat tracker I've got up here. Papo, what did you get?
I got a 1. So
Got a 1 in total? Cool. Cecilia?
4.
4 in total. Meg, what did you get?
I got 23.
Yikes.
Wow.
Sal, what did you get?
13.
13. Drew?
12.
12. And Windy?
I got 5.
5? That's fine. Makes sense.
Got 5
The person with the highest initiative one is the one that starts the battle. And I need to do one for her as well. Okay, she got 9. So, Meg, you throw 2 daggers at this poor defenseless old lady's back that just happens to be making terrible stew. and maybe shame covering it with a magical spell. Who knows? Roll to hit.
Okay. So the first one, 8. What am I adding it to anything?
Yeah, so there'll be a on your character sheet. There should be a dagger,
Yep.
and there'll be a plus
wait,
to hit.
I'm on
Your to
actions.
hit modifier.
Okay, 8 plus 6 for the first one,
So it's 14. That does not hit.
and then 19 plus 6.
That will hit. So that's, I believe, your offhand dagger. So that'll just be 1d4 for me, please.
Or
Joss, what's an AC with 14?
2.
2. Done.
And hold on. Do I get?
Oh, because this is a surprise round for you specifically, because you kicked off the surprise round. Nobody else was really expecting this. You do get a free turn, and you do get your sneak attack damage as well. So if you want to roll your sneak attack, which is, I think, 2 or 3d6?
2d6 for
2d6.
sneak attack.
Cool.
So 1 and 4.
So 5 in total. So you know, another 5. So yeah, as you throw this dagger from braces, just infinite daggers, appears
And
in your
then-
hand. Go for it.
Sorry, did you say I get another action because of my sneak attack? Or because it was...
That was your sneak attack damage.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you just got 1 attack action per turn, but then you'd use a bonus action to throw the other dagger from your other hand.
Okay.
And that was a surprise round. She had it back to you. But only you were a part of that surprise. So we'll go back again to Meg for another round of attacks.
Okay. I have 1,000 ball bearings in my bag.
That you do.
So I guess it would be an action to just take them and throw them all on the floor where she's standing in the hopes that she'll fall over.
Yeah, I mean, you can get like a use object action to grab them out of your bag or off of your belt or whatever, and then your action would be to throw them down at her feet in the hope that she comically steps on them and backpedals for a good 6 to 8 seconds before falling on her butt. So you're throwing them down there. It's now very difficult terrain for her. Next on it, we've got Sal.
Cool. I'm gonna kind of like towards her and make an attack with my quarterstaff.
Cool.
And then as a bonus action, do an unarmed strike as I am. So I'm gonna roll for the quarterstaff right now,
Go for
which is a 11.
Mhm.
Will probably not hit.
It does not, unfortunately.
All right, and then for the unarmed strike is a 9. All right, really crushing it.
So yeah, as you go up there, potentially maybe because you're having to be quite tentative with all of the 1,000 ball bearings that are on the floor, having to pick your way through, and you're just kind of scooting comically on them as you try and land your punches. Instead of like forcefully punching her in the back of the head, you just place your wing on the back of her head and just push yourself back on the ball bearings.
Love it.
And we're on to Drew.
I think I'm going to cast Bark Skin
Mhm.
on who is it? Windy.
Cool. So you place your hand on Windy's shoulder and channel it through the staff. Yep. And Windy, as you're standing there, your literal skin turns to that of bark, providing you with extra defense. Is that a plus to her AC?
Yes, it's a +2. Oh wait, sorry. It is AC can't be less than 16.
Cool. So, Windy, your AC, your armor class is now 16.
Wow! Look at me!
Yeah.
Nice.
You're feeling very wooden right now. It's like creaking in the wind. Right, on to poor old Lady Cora that's just been stabbed in the back.
Literally.
Yes, indeed. She turns around and her face is not that of the old lady, sweet old lady you saw when you first entered it. Her face has become darker, sullen, a purplish hue. She's like grown horns out of her matted hair. Her chin is elongated. her teeth become blackened or missing altogether, and her hands have become gnarled and end in that of claws. She goes, "You stupid little dillbats! I'm going to."
You howled so well there, Tim. Good job.
I was like, "Oh, this is on stream."
Good job.
I'm going to flay the very skin off your bodies and cook it up for the children of this place.
Lovely.
And she will cast a lightning bolt. Creature in the line. So in the line, I'll just randomly roll for maybe the 6 of you. So a 6, which is Kylie, and a 2, which is Ree. So Ree and Kylie, as you're like giving her bark skin, she extends one gnarled, clawed hand, and just crackling lightning appears, arcing between her fingers, like that of an exposed diode, and she just fires out this lightning. It hits both of you. I want you to both do a dexterity saving throw for me, please. Also, roll some dice.
Oops.
I have a 12.
12, okay.
11.
11. So that's 15. So you both take 20 points of lightning damage.
Ooh.
2-0.
Ooh, I'm not looking too great.
As it just
Damn.
hits the first of you, would be Kylie, would be Windy, directly in the sternum, and then it arcs out of her back, out of her spine, and then arcs over towards Drew, and just grounds itself in there. And you both just kind of twitch for a second, and you can smell like this acrid, like burnt flesh smell and you start both like steaming.
Yeah, it's not great.
Okay, and after that, we're on to Windy, as you recover your constitution.
Wait, okay. I don't know what I want to do yet. Okay. So, because I got hit, I can still go, right? Like, there's nothing stopping me from going besides the fact that I have 3
not at
HP left.
Aside from the crippling pain in your chest.
Right, because everybody keeps hitting me in my sternum.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Let's see. Can I do like a bunch of cartwheels because I'm an acrobat and just start like going at her, and then when I pause, I do vicious mockery and I just start throwing like terrible insults at them?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay. Great.
So you just
So that's what I'm doing.
you're somersaulting and cartwheeling like through all of these ball bearings. So I think first of all, I want you to do an acrobatics check for me, please.
Yes, of course.
To see how well you pull off this feat of
10.
10. It's a little bit sketchy, but not too bad. Like your palm does like hit one of the ball bearings, and it just like hurts like stepping on a Lego with no shoes on. But you just internalize it. You're used to it. You're getting stabbed a lot when you're in the carnival. So you just cartwheel across, and you kind of just. It's nothing too flourishy. But you stand there, and then you just start screaming insults at the hag. I would like you to how do you insult her?
Well, so like she has horns and like scaly skin and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So we could call her scaly skin.
Yeah.
Or we can make fun of her horns and be like, I don't have horns. Horns are lame.
Yeah. You quickly look to and fro between the people in your party, make sure nobody else is saying, yeah, you got horns.
Easy insult. No one
You're
likes
a bad
this
cook.
too. There you go. No one likes this.
Could you do your damage then? Or vicious mockery damage?
Yes. So my damage is 1d4,
Cool.
which is
The pointy one.
This one?
The pointy one.
Oh,
pyramid.
the fourth side. Ah! Get back.
I didn't do it.
Hold on, just stay there, everyone.
Indeed.
Okay, ready?
I am ready. Yeah.
Wait.
She failed a wisdom saving throw, by the way.
Wait, if it's point, hold on. It didn't actually land on anything. Does that make sense?
So
it's
depending on what
the point,
you've
the
got.
point.
Bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, so it would be whatever's on the bottom.
No, whatever's on the top point.
Yeah.
The point, the tip. What's on the tip? What number's showing here?
There are different
Although-
designed ones.
There are. So if I Put this whatever's on the top. So
This is the wrong one.
yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
No, you have it.
whichever's on
That's
the
a
top.
2.
The ones on the top, yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
moron.
No, it's fine. It's a weird looking
fine.
dice. It's
It
a
is
weird
a
looking die. It's
strange
very
die.
complex.
A 2.
Yeah, because some of them also have like the number on the bottom as well. So we didn't know, but it's great. Yeah. So yeah, she looks quite. Despite herself, she just touches her horns and looks a bit crestfallen when you point them out, as if she's quite a little bit self-conscious about them.
Are they that bad?
Indeed.
They're hideous.
And Cecilia, you're up next.
Awesome, cool. So let's swing out a Sacred Flame on her.
Cool.
So that's going to be a dex save of 13 for you in all those beautiful, beautiful ball bearings.
Yes, indeed. Oh yeah, I'll give her a disadvantage actually. Yeah, she got a 4.
Awesome.
failed.
So that's going to be 1d8 radiant damage.
Ooh,
The beauty of radiance.
indeed.
That's going to be a hot 3.
A hot 3. It's all
A hot
damage.
3. However, I would also, as a bonus action, like to cast Shield of Faith on myself. My armor class right now is 19.
19. Perfect.
Yep.
So it's got Cecilia's AC as 19, and we've got Wendy's AC as 16 currently. Right, we're on to Papo. So you don't know why everybody started like just ragging on this sweet old lady that's provided you with stew, has gone to a pantry to potentially provide you with some exquisite delights. That is until she turns around and actually shows you like her true form, which is that of a haggard old misshapen crone, and all illusions just stop. The house itself becomes a lot more decrepit than it was before. There are wooden beams hanging from fallen. There's cracks in the roof tiles, and there are like carcasses, like animal carcasses, and maybe other kind of carcasses that are just strung up all over the place, as well as like these intricate string and wood like effigies as well that are hung up everywhere, and there's like red paint strewn across the wall, you assume.
Right. Okay, fair. I say that, okay, you say you're going to cook us up in a stew. Well, you know what you need for a stew? A good stock. And it looks like you're all out. As I take the cauldron and I chuck it at her.
Oh, God.
So the cauldron itself is like massively hot.
Yeah, is
but
there
fortunately-
perhaps an oven mitt nearby?
Yeah, I mean, you can grab like a
Quickly.
half molded like tea towel.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, or washcloth.
With like
and you
a
grab the
sunflower
handle.
on it or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And
Yeah,
you,
yeah, that's it.
you hurl it at her. So I'd like you to do maybe do an athletics check first of all,
Beautiful.
and I'll have her do a dexterity saving throw with a disadvantage because she's on ball bearings.
So that is an 18 plus 2 is a 20.
Cool. And she got a 9. She did get a 21 on the first roll. Got a 9 because she got disadvantage. So yeah, you dump this hot liquid all over her head. Do you just eject the contents, or does the cauldron go with it as well?
If I can get a comical image of a pot on her head, yeah, I'll let go of the cauldron as well.
Okay. So can you do 3d6 fire damage from the
Beautiful.
contents of the stew, and then do an additional 1d6 bludgeoning damage from the cauldron?
So that's 17 from the stew. So
Wow.
that was great.
That's a high roll.
And another 6 for the cauldron.
Whoa!
That was amazing.
All
Three
right.
6s and a 5.
Well
My
then.
goodness.
Good lord. All right, let's do this.
I was like, have I made this creature too powerful? No, it's fine. You just dumped a whole bunch of stew on her and just like took a quarter of her health away. Indeed.
This is a weakness.
Undone by her own stew. Amazing round. Right, we're back to the top with Meg.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Hideous Laughter on her.
Cool.
With the aim that she
Oh.
finds it hilarious that she just got smacked in the face with her own stew.
Absolutely.
I mean, we feel like it's
Love it.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Hoisted by her own petard, if you will.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know. Actually, know what I need to do to cast that.
Tasha's hideous laughter, I think, is a saving throw, from my
Okay.
point of view, I believe. So let me just double check that. Tasha. Sorry, just waiting for this to load. There we go. Right. Wisdom saving throw. So, do you know what your DC is? It'd be at the top of your spell. I mean, all your spells are if you click on the spell itself.
Save DC is 11.
11, cool. So her wisdom saving throw is +2. So she needs to get a 9 or more. She got an 8.
Oh,
Wow. Lucky.
So there we go. She finds everything hilariously funny and falls into fits of laughter as a spell effects. Right, she is prone and incapacitated and unable to stand for the duration, which is 1 minute.
And she has a pot on her head, so everything's echoing into the pot.
Yeah. She thinks the absolute funniest thing that she's had this pot just dumped on her head.
foolish.
Just so everybody's aware about what the spell effects are, if she takes damage, she can repeat the saving throw. But currently, yeah, she's just on the floor, like gliding on these ball bearings, just laughing. It's quite the look. Right. Another amazing round. Sal, you're up. What can you add to this mix?
Yeah. So I'm like very angry that my attack missed so very poorly last round that I'm going to spend 2 of my key points and use Fist of which is as an action you can spend 2 key points at a chosen creature within 30 feet must make a strength saving of 13. On a failure, read D10 bludgeoning damage. Plus are pushed an extra. Oh, sorry. Pushed up to 20 feet away and knocked prone, but she's around.
Yeah.
All right.
So attack roll. It's a saving throw. Okay. So she just do a saving throw as normal.
Yeah, DC 13.
Yeah. So she has a weirdly high strength. 4 + 9, 13. What was your DC?
It was 13. Damn it!
Just makes it. Does it do half damage?
Nope.
Oh, sorry. Oh no.
Nothing. Oh god.
Oh god.
No.
On the plus side, now she can't do another save for the laughter.
That's true.
She took no damage.
So instead of like doing actual damage to her, what you end up doing is just rotating her on the spot. She's just spinning with this pot, laughing on her head. A bit like that scene where like Homer's on his side running in a circle. That's the vibe.
Can't win.
Okay, Drew, you're up.
I want to cast Flaming Sphere
Mm,
on the cauldron.
okay. Sounds deadly.
Yeah.
Melt her head from the outside in.
Kind of just I'm practicing my expert cooking skill.
Yeah. So a 5-foot diameter sphere of fire appears in an unoccupied space. So I would say you can like engulf the cauldron, and it may heat it up as well.
Right.
She's got to do a dexterity saving throw,
Of 13.
but she's prone and on ball bearings, so she has disadvantage on that.
Flame yon witch.
Yeah, so 11. She gets +2. Got 9 again.
It's 13.
Cool. Yeah, she fails.
Okay, so then I get 2d6 of damage. Of
Yes.
fire damage.
Indeed.
Ooh, 6.
Nice.
And a 5.
Ooh,
Wow.
nice. Almost full.
Rolling hot on
Nice.
those d6 tonight.
Yeah.
Right. Takes 11 points of damage. And she gets to repeat her saving throw. Come on. 10 plus 2, 12. What was your spell? Yours was 11, wasn't it, Ellie?
Mine, yeah.
So, she does not find this flaming sphere upon her as hilarious and breaks out to Tasha's hideous laughter. However, she still is prone on the ball bearings.
With
She'll have
a
to get
pot on her head.
With a pot on her head. So it's now her turn. She decides to stand up and throw the pot off of her head as an object action. You can see now that she's heavily scalding, like from the combination of the flaming sphere and the hot stew on her face. You can just see like a little bit of flesh just sloughing off, and she is not in a happy mood now. What can she do? What to do?
I wonder why. We're loving this.
Yeah, I think she's going to turn her ire on Papo for dumping the hot stew on her head, and she's going to cast Hold Person. So yeah, if you can do a Wisdom saving throw for me, please. That's a DC 14.
I did great. My Wisdom is a +1, so I did a 20 total.
Whoa! So she's like, "Stay in place, you stew tipper," and then you just do not obey at all, and then she looks quite scared. Her eyes flicker. You start surrounding her. She starts backing up towards the larder. Like, you'll never undo the blight that I have placed upon this village. Kill me, and it won't save the members of your family that are afflicted. She points at you, Sal. Everybody do an insight check, please.
Is Zone of Truth still active?
She passed it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
going to be a
which is
nat
good.
20 from me.
I got a 15.
I got
15.
crit.
Is this acrobatic?
Same. Yes! Crits!
So it's just an insight check.
17.
17. Wow.
2 people crit.
22.
Wow. Okay. Jeez Louise.
I got a 5, so continue.
Papa's just in blissful
Good job,
ignorance.
But so ignorant that even just like magical effects don't actually affect him. It's like yeah, you know, it's a seesaw, it's a plus and minus. So the people who got 16 or higher, when she makes this statement, she does her eyes do unintentionally flicker over to the hearth. There is a shelf above the hearth. Standing on the shelf are 3 ceramic, what look like urns.
Hello.
All right.
And that's all you get out of the insight check. Goes on to Windy.
So while everyone else is fighting her, how close am I to the urns? Like, can I sneak over there and try to figure out what's in them?
Yeah, you're in a cottage environment, so like the actual floor space is not that great. So you've got pretty much free reign in the inside of this place.
Great. Ah!
Oh no! Slip on the ball bearings and then.
Yeah, there we go.
So what I would like to do is everybody protect me. I'm gonna go figure out what's in these urns. Then I'm gonna creep over there. Actually, no, I want to do cartwheels over there because why not?
Oh gosh.
And
Breaks one of the urns. No!
Just parkour through the house.
then I'd like to see if I can figure out what's in the urns.
Okay. First of all, do an acrobatics check.
Oh, I knew this was coming. I shouldn't have done this.
What, you think you were going to do it for free?
Well, I thought he was gonna be a nice DM right now, but if you, whatever.
There's ball bearings all over the floor.
Agreed.
11.
And it's
11. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, again,
okay.
still relatively competent. It's not as graceful as like maybe the performances you put on in the carnival, but it's an acceptable combat cartwheel.
Great.
You get over to the hearth. You can grab any number of the urns if you want to. What do you want to do with them specifically?
I guess I want to figure out if there's anything in them. Like, is it people's souls that she's trapping? Is it medicine in there? Like, what is this?
Tell me how you would test for soul slash.
I guess I don't know how I'd test for souls. I'm not a soul searcher. Let's see. How about are they open? Like,
may we help her?
They have like a stopper in them in the top.
Great. Is there a wine popper by me anywhere?
So the stopper itself is like got an ornate ceramic design on the top of like a skull head, and the actual design of it looks like is a rib cage design, and the bottom of it is like a swamp or slime or something like that, and the rib cage is descending into the slime. There are 2 handles on it shaped like bones. So yeah, the actual skull head you could probably just grab and pull out if you want to.
Great. I'm gonna grab and pull out, and if a soul pops out, oops.
Okay.
That person's dead. Sorry,
I would
Sal.
like you to do a wisdom saving throw for me.
All right, here we go. Woo! Hold on. Let me figure out what my wisdom is. Okay, all right. 19.
19, great. So as you pop the cork, this purple-black mist starts swirling out. It looks almost alive. And as it spirals out, it searching, permeating the air, feeling around, and then it turns to you abruptly and goes in your nostril. You start choking on it, but with your good wisdom saving throw, you manage to cough the majority of it out. It recoalesces as you spurt it out of your mouth, looks around for a little bit more, and then just zooms out the open front door.
Shoot,
It's
what
looking
did
for
I
its-
do?
It's looking for its body.
Well, we hope it's a soul, but it was choking me. How do we know it's not the reason why everybody's in comas?
Who
I
knows?
think it maybe thought you were its body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's looking for its body, so it's left to go look now.
All
So
right,
let's
we're
do
gonna-
that rather in front of the bodies.
Fine.
So-
I'll do that.
Just goes and possesses the nearest raccoon.
Mum,
No.
it's like simbering this raccoon. All right, Cecilia, you're up.
Decision. Do I kill her? Do I stop her?
We can stop her by killing her.
True.
Well, I mean, stop her so we can question her. It's like, do I feel generous enough
Nah,
to
we're
question
past
her?
that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even question her. I would just go for it.
All right, I want to firebolt her face.
Okay. Fireball, is that spell attack?
Spell attack, yes.
Groovy, go for it.
That's going to be 15.
That does not hit, unfortunately. She is a very robust old lady.
I've noticed.
Yeah, she you haven't really actually physically attacked her, so she hasn't had to do much class checking. But yeah, she is surprisingly resilient.
Cool.
Papo. Oh, sorry, Cecilia. Sorry,
No bonus actions.
Yeah. Papo, up to you.
Okay, so I do have a great axe, but I'm on a roll with the prop work. So I'm gonna go. You said your dead husband made you these chairs. Well, when you see him next, say thanks. As I run up and smash it over her head.
No.
Nice.
Capital savage, Sean.
Yeah. So roll an attack roll.
Attack roll.
Yeah.
Oof. Total, that would be
16 or higher.
a 9. That's gonna be
9.
Okay.
Yeah, as you run towards her with the chair looked quite sturdy when you first sat on it, but you think it was on the verge of collapse. And as you pick it up over your head and you run towards her, it gets caught on one of the beams of the cottage and just shatters in your hand. You don't notice this, however, and when you swing down with the back of the chair, you're just holding 2 tiny bits of wood, and you just whiff. There's no, yeah, it just crumble. They crumble to
What a
rotten
shame.
wood in your hand.
Oh, okay.
good, though.
That's fine. That works. I forgot I could have raged as well, but we'll
Oh,
save
yeah.
that.
But now you might be quite angry at the resultant.
Yes, exactly.
So, Meg, you do have her on the ropes. She is looking pretty
Okay.
beaten up.
If she is prone, does that mean I get? So when it says
Oh,
sneak
she
attack-
stood up.
Oh, she's not prone anymore. Okay.
But Papo is in melee combat with her now, which means that you do still get sneak attack.
Okay, perfect. In that case, I am going to 2-dagger her again.
Mhm.
Because that
Go for
worked
it.
last time.
Double strike. Steps up.
So 19 plus 6,
That hits.
that hits. Do you want me
It's
to
the
do the
master
damage?
with the
then?
daggers. Roll both to hit, and then we'll do the damage afterwards.
And then 16 plus 6.
Yeah, both hit.
Okay.
So roll 2d4, 2d6, and
Hold
then
on.
your damage modifier.
That's too many numbers. 2d4, so 4.
Yep.
And 4.
Nice.
And
Wow,
then 2d6.
okay.
Please.
1 and 5.
Nice. That's
And-
14, and then your damage modifier.
That is plus 4.
It's 4. Cool. There's a sizable chunk of damage to this old crone. Just two magical daggers appear soon after. She kind of screams in pain as it's Sal's turn again.
How high are the roof? How
So the roof itself, it's in various like crumbling state, but at its apex, it's probably about 10 feet.
Okay. I'm gonna flap my wings like a little bit just to like get a little bit of height on her,
Cool.
and then I'm just gonna come down with my quarterstaff so
Nice.
we're gonna that's gonna be an 18.
18 hits.
All right. And then should I roll for the unarmed strike before I roll damage, or should I do them?
No, just do all the rolling, all your attacks first, and damage at the end.
All right. The unarmed strike's not going to hit.
Okay.
That was a 2. So we're going to for the quarterstaff is going to be 9 damage.
9, nice. Yeah, you clock her around the side of the head. A big wound like opens up on her temple, and like this black-green blood just starts pouring down over one eye. One eye swells up shut, kind of gets in her mouth a little bit, and she looks like on death's door. She is not a very happy hag right now.
I.e. 1 or 2 HP. Kill it!
Drew.
I think... So I have a few spells, but I'm concerned about the size. I don't know if I can control how big or small these things end up being.
Which one, sorry? The sphere?
So there's Moonbeam.
Oh, yeah. You can project Moonbeam. You can get just the hag and no one else if you want to, because you can just like, angle it like towards the back of the house, so it only gets her. That's totally fine. Yes, I believe that's damage happens like when she on her turn. She starts in the Moonbeam.
Yes, I believe so.
Cool. Yeah. So as you cast it, like this shaft of silvery white light just penetrates through the top of this cottage, like setting a lot of it on fire and just dispersing what remains of the rotted beams and tiles. Caves in a little bit, and just highlights her like a spotlight. You can see her already starting to sizzle a little bit, but the damage doesn't start until her turn, which is now. So, would you like to roll the moonbeam damage for me, please?
Yes. Let me just grab the die. No, that's a 12. Hold on. Yes. Okay. So it's 2d10 of radiant damage on a failed save. She has to save first.
Oh, okay.
So she has to pass a Constitution saving throw of 13.
She got 12.
Well,
I'm running on 9s today. Yes. Yeah, roll the 2d10.
Okay, so we have a 6 and a 4.
10. Nice. Yeah, she starts to, like, her skin starts to bubble and boil. The blood that's on her cheek starts to start evaporating. She starts shriveling up and screeching. For her turn, she actually just spin around on the spot, thrusts a hand into the larder that she was going for originally before you stopped her, grabs an old sweeping broom, sticks it between her legs, and then just starts taking off vertically through the hole that the moonbeams created in the top. Now, there are 2 people in melee combat with her which get attacks of opportunity. That's Papo and Sal. Would you like to do attacks of opportunity for me, please?
Yes, please.
You'll never defeat me.
Do I my regular attack did not hit. Do I get the bonus action attack or no?
I'm going to say I'm a generous DM, and because it's your family that's been like afflicted by her, you can go for a bonus attack as well. Why not?
All right, the bonus attack will hit with a 23.
Nice.
Nice.
Papo, how did you do first?
Can I choose the weapon?
Yes.
Okay, because I have a net,
Oh, nice.
and as she tries to get away, I'm like, nah.
No.
So I will.
So first, yeah, go for it. Go through a roll to attack to capture in the net.
16.
16. That will hit. That's her AC. So you grab her.
Perfect.
Now I need to do an opposed athletics check. So either like you'll be pulled up or you'll pull her down.
Gotcha. Not as good as it could have been.
She got an 11.
Yeah, I got an 8.
Okay, so you start getting pulled up after her as you're like got her in the net. But again, the magic that imbues this broom seems to be incredibly strong. It just pulls you off of your feet. Sal,
Yep.
why didn't you do your damage?
All right. Let's see.
Because you're hovering at this moment, so you can still reach her as she's taking
6.
6 points. Sal, how do you want to end this tag? 3 hit points.
So it was an unarmed strike. So I'd like to think that I could, like karate chopper with my wings. As she's kind of like taking off, and we're just kind of like hovering a little bit above everybody, and Papa's just kind of hanging from the net. But it just kind of like a devastating karate chop with my cool.
Yeah. So she's taking off at an angle. You're above her with your wings at an angle, and you just like rain bludgeoning damage via your wings just onto her shoulder. Double
Rain
karate chop.
feathery.
Yeah. Indeed, death from above. Yeah, and she just crumples into herself and kind of explodes into this green-black ooze, this ichor that splats across. You know the end of Ghostbusters when everybody's covered in marshmallow?
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's you, but black ichor now.
Yeah.
Gross.
And it just flops like with a sickening crunch with it's just a mass of bones as well in this stew of black ichor that hits the ground. Obviously, that goes through the net, but the broom doesn't explode. So it's Papo is just net over broom, taking off by himself, riding this broom with a net on it, like, out of the top of the cottage. But you can like grip hold of it now and ride it if you wish.
I could just ride it, control it, no problem.
Yeah, you're now in command of this. Like without her, you're now in command of this magical flying broom.
Hell yeah.
Woo! Death from above.
And you have solved the mystery of Walden Ridge.
Yay!
Well done, everyone.
Can we
Somehow
release the
did
other
it.
souls?
Yeah, can we open those souls up?
Yeah, can we help people?
Sure, absolutely you can. You grab the
Maybe we
remaining
save them.
the remaining 2 urns carefully. What would you like to do with them?
Well, just be
Not
careful.
breathe them
because
in.
if
Go to
it
their
close
houses.
to you.
Wait, but how do we don't know which souls and which urn?
Is it safe to assume that they'll find their host bodies if we just open?
Yeah,
you
just
didn't
open
quite
them
see what
outside.
happened. Yeah, you didn't see quite what happened with the mist, but they all are demarcated with numbers on them. And in fact, you do also find when you search around the witch's cottage, you find another 2 empty urns that have got a 4 and a 5 on them. So through easy process of elimination, you know that 1 is probably Sal's mother, 2 is the farmer, and 3 is the little boy.
Okay,
And
cool.
you
Then I
open,
just
up,
go to
you open up number
purpose.
3, so you've still got Sal's mother and the farmer in the urn.
Should we
So,
go see your mum?
Yeah, I'm gonna take number 1. Well, we'll take them both. Go back and go back to my house. See what's what.
Cool.
Open them in front of the bodies.
Yeah, well, and we'll when we get there, we'll just kind of run up the stairs and open it up at the entrance of the door and let.
One of the attending maids that is looking after your mother is there at the moment, sort of like putting a cold compress on her head and moving her around the bed a little bit so she doesn't get sores. And she sort of stands up at the start as you rush in, slide on your knees, then break open this urn, and put your face to one side. And this snaky dark purple black tendril emanates from the urn, and looks around for a second, and then just dives into your mother's open beak, into her maw. Into the craw hole, as it were. And a few seconds pass and nothing happens. Suddenly, your mother inhales sharply. Her eyes snap open, and she sits bolt upright in the bed. Blinks bleary-eyed and looks over to you and just gives you a big winged embrace. Roughly nuzzling her beak into your feathers, ruffling them all.
What a lovely ending.
Yeah.
Wow.
A
question, though.
happy
One
bird. End.
Indeed.
One question: where's the deadbeat dad now?
Yeah, really. Where'd he go?
Well, you can assume that like one of the rumors may be correct. One of which was that he packed up and, knowing that the village didn't have the necessary magical supplies to treat your mother, hasted as quickly as possible to the nearest city to try and find someone of high enough repute to bring back to help.
So he may be home soon.
He may be home soon.
For nothing. Like, gets
Yeah,
there.
but we'll be gone because the carnival is not going to wait, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, coincidentally enough, the carnival is heading to the exact city where your father is currently.
And the plot thickens. The story continues.
Indeed. So yes, I'd like to thank everybody for playing tonight. You're amazing players, and I hope you've enjoyed playing.
This was
so
fun.
much
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
great.
Dungeon Master.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim.
You're
This was
amazing.
awesome.
My pleasure, absolute pleasure, and a thank you to everybody that tuned in at any point during this evening, or this afternoon, or this day. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we enjoy playing. So it's a thank you from me, from Tim. I'll go over to my players if they want to shout out anything or have any.
If you like watching D&D, you should probably watch Rollover and Die. Well, they're pretty.
Maybe.
Yes,
Insert plug.
our Dungeon Master is the regular DM for Rollover and Die. And do you guys have a regular streaming schedule or the next one scheduled?
It's out usually every Monday, although with being at home, internet and uploading. So last one came out Tuesday, so the next one Tuesday. And after that regular episode, we've got an exclusive Q&A coming out the week after.
Ooh,
And then
nice.
we'll be back to our normal streaming schedule thereafter.
Beautiful.
Nice little plug. There we go.
Nice little plug.
If you like this kind of live content, let us know in the comments below, so we can look into doing more cool stuff like this for you.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do
And
it
we'll
as long as you
continue.
keep watching.
Yeah, or continue the adventures.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I've enjoyed it much, and if there is, if everybody carry on,
Alrighty.
Cool.
Well, thank you, everybody. Again, stay tuned to our social media channels when we will be announcing more online content. And as we said, check out Rollover and Die. I think that's about it. Have a safe weekend, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.